me. I say this justly. I went from musty to musky, and y'all can't mush me. I warn y'all hornballs, I hush puppies. The swans in the pond called my duck ugly, but now they hug me because it's lovely. They love the aroma of the world. Got the shakers and the skaters and the players and the girls. Keep the fakers and the flakers and the haters in the twirl. You want the flavor, hey, I got ya. You want the realness? Well, I got ya. I know you're sick of them niggas bickering, watch ya. Either they pimps or they max or they monsters. You want the real shit? Well, I got ya. You see my niggas here? You know we proper. You know we do it right, 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 right. You know we.
Hey, everyone. Hopefully you all can hear me, y'all. Now, I have done 2 trailer breakdowns for this movie. And anybody who has ever laid eyes on me and my channel, y'all know how much I love me some Michael B. Jordan. Y'all know that's my man. And he done crossed over into my genre. He's in this now? What? When I heard about this movie last year, I said, ain't no way I'm not going to be in there. I am so in there. Okay. I was ready. And of course, y'all knew I was going to be in the theater to see this movie. I would look, and I know it ain't just me. I have been waiting for this movie to drop since I heard they had a concept of an idea for a vampire movie.
Oh, this is going to be good. You know how long I've been waiting for this?
A long time. But y'all know, these type of movies, I can't talk about it alone by myself. I am not here with just me. I have some other fans of the horror genre. I have some other, creators backstage that love Michael B. Jordan. And we're going to break this movie down. So if you are new here, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe. This is a spoiler review. You have been warned. I am going to bring up the first guest. She is no stranger to the channel. We talked about disclaimer a while ago, that show from Apple TV, her real reviews. How you doing? Hey, Kwana.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Kay. How you doing? Listen, I'm going to try not to cheese the whole time we're talking about this movie. Y'all, if y'all haven't gone and seen this movie yet, I just want you to know right now, you're going to get your whole life.
Whole life.
That's all I can say. That's all the words I have.
You definitely gonna get your whole life and then some. And y'all, we have someone new coming to the channel today. She's a horror fan, and when I knew I wanted to do a panel to talk about this, I said, let me go ahead and reach out to this person. She hasn't been on the channel before, but I feel like she was gonna like this movie and that we deserve to have a conversation about it. Y'all go follow her. It's Fear herself. Hey, Nicole, how you doing?
Hi, I'm so excited. I'm so glad you reached out to me. Like you said, I'm eager. I'm super with it. Too stoked. Really, really happy. And so yeah, I'm glad to be here.
And y'all, we're gonna get into it again. This is a spoiler review, okay? So just if you haven't seen it yet, first of all, if you ain't seen it yet, instead of sitting here, you need to go watch this movie. Go watch it. I'm going to go see it again, as a matter of fact, okay? One time was not enough for me. This requires you to go and look, and y'all know how I feel about doing things the ski mask way sometimes, but don't do it with this one. Go to the theater and see this movie. Let's see who we got in the chat. Our life in horror. How y'all doing? Exactly. Hit the like button. Let's see who else we got. Hi, Kia. We all in here. Okay. Y'all go follow the Black Kakashi, my anime people. Yeah, Marvel should be punching the air right now because you know what? They fumbled the ball on Blade. And Ryan Coogler said, don't worry about it. I'll do it. He said, I'll do it. Y'all ain't got to do nothing. I'll come in with it. Just saying hello to everybody in the chat. Again, make sure you all hit thumbs up on all channels and make sure you're subscribed to this panel. Y'all, we are going to jump right into it. But if anybody that knows me, y'all know I like to start off on a bunch of foolishness. Okay. I start off. We gonna start off in left field, and we're gonna bring it back in. But because there is a new vampire in town, okay, I need to know before we get started, y'all. We got 4 black vampires here. Who is your favorite? Quana, I'm gonna start with you. Who we gonna win? I know how he is with interview now. Come on now.
Why would you do this to me? Oh, okay. So to be fair, oh my gosh, I'm gonna still say Louis. Although, if we get a chance to see some more of Stack might just on the smirk alone, he might take the throne just off of the smirk alone.
You know, he listen. I this is a hard one for me because I would have immediately said Blade, but y'all, Michael B. Jordan with fangs, I can't. There are no words. There are
with
no words.
Grills and fangs. Oh my gosh.
At the same time, I don't know what else to say. That it does something to me. Nicole, who you got on the list?
So I agree. I was. It's always going to be Blade for me, but Michael definitely has me a little caught up right now, especially this weekend. I definitely don't have to go ahead and pick Stack this time, which is crazy. Like I said, it's forever going to be Blade, but this is, after this weekend, I'm definitely a fan of Stack. That's where I'm at right now. Sorry, I just jumped ship for sure, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
If you're here in the chat right now, I want y'all to drop down in the chat. After watching Sinners, we now have 4 black male vampires. Okay, put in the chat who is your favorite. Okay, and maybe it might be somebody I ain't got up here. I want to know who is your favorite vampire now after watching Sinners. Let us know in the comments who y'all got. But moving right along, before we even talk about the movie, let's take a second to give Coogler his flowers for this. Because for me, he hasn't missed. He hadn't missed, okay? This man had a promising career in football and decided to pick up a pen, and here's history right here. And I'm so glad that he did, because I've loved everything that he's put together. And I love that he works with Michael B. Jordan. I even love him even more for that. Nicole, out of these projects, what is your favorite with Ryan Coogler, and how do you feel about him as a director and writer?
Okay. Sorry. So I'm going to start with him being a director and a writer. Phenomenal. That's definitely going to be my one word. He is amazing when it comes to not only creating the story, but creating the vision for it as well for audiences or people who are not even within the industry. It's amazing. From Fruitville to Creed, Black Panther, Sinners, he hits it out of the bar. I mean, out of the park. There's just nothing. He creates such an emotional reaction when it comes to whatever genre that I'm looking at. Of course, being me, I'm always going to pick Sinners because it's horror. But a close second for me is going to be Creed. It's just his choice of cinematography, his cinematographer, the lighting, the angles. It like I said, it always creates an emotional reaction for me. So Sinners is one, but before Sinners, it was Creed for me. I have no words when it comes to Ryan. He can do no wrong in my eyes, unfortunately. That's where I'm at right now.
Okay, we're gonna back up for 1 second because Mark just got here. Mark, before we go into talking about Ryan Coogler, I need you to tell us who is your favorite vampire first. Just give me your favorite vampire.
Damn, already on me? After this weekend, can I rank them first?
Okay.
After this weekend, my number 2 is switched. to Stack. Number one is Stack, Louis, Blade, then Max. But it's just something about the way Stack talks. You know what I'm saying? It's the way how he, before he even got turned, he knows how to get you to do something for him, and how it's just so. I don't even know what the words are. It's just charismatic is what I'm trying to say. He's very charismatic, even though he insults you at the same time, but he, still is like, oh, you know what, you just call me out my name, but I'm gonna still work for you though. You know what I'm saying? So they'll be mine.
Got it, got it. And while we have you here, Mark, tell us about how you feel about Ryan Coogler and his role as a director and writer, and which one of these projects are your favorite?
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I didn't see Fruitvale Station until after I saw Black Panther, because Black Panther is what brought me to Ryan Coogler's, or how they say, his catalog. And I'm gonna have to go with Sinners, because this is his first movie that he has not done that is based on previous IP or a true story. And it goes to show you how good he is without like another thing attached to it. Like, the Fruitvale Station had the true story to it. So everybody was attracted to the movie for that. Black Panther is like, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Creed connects to Rocky, and Ryan just came out and just said, I got some too. And I know a lot of people are saying they don't want a franchise from this though, but if it does become a franchise, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, because he was able to do something with an original
I
movie.
won't be mad. I want him to have a franchise.
I do too, and I was discussing this with a friend. I was discussing with a friend of the day, this morning actually, saying that it don't have to be like a Sinners too. It could be something on the lines of set in the world of Sinners, because that he introduced so much lore that can be explored, whether it's in a sequel, a spiritual sequel, a spin-off movie, a spin-off television show, novels, comic books, anything like that. It's IP ready. But the thing of the matter is that he created this from the ground up, and this is why it's my favorite, because that's all his. Can't nobody turn around and be like, oh, well, he did this from, he is taking an existing property and is putting a spin on it. No, that's all his.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. Shout out
Yeah.
Mark coming in clutch. Quana, how do you feel about Ryan Coogler and his direction, and what is your favorite Ryan Coogler project?
First of all, I'm just so proud of this young man. I got him by a couple of years, but he just makes me so proud. So proud. When he was doing the press tour and people were talking about his accent, I was like, y'all shut your mouth. That man sound good talking. Look, what the old people say, shut up and keep talking. I wanted to hear everything he got to say. It's just so much, and he put so much history and black boy joy in everything that he does, even when it's hard stuff, that I just want him to win at everything. I feel for him like I feel for Kendrick. It's just so many people who are just doing stuff for the culture, and it's so good. That said, I find this is hard for me because Chadwick means so much to me, being from South Carolina, that I really want to say BP1. It's still my favorite, but only because we got the special sauce of, we still have Ryan with Michael, but we have Chadwick, and and just everything he meant to all of us. And so it's hard for me to like say anything surpasses that, but there's things that we can do with this that we can't really, like, you can follow the lore and the but we already know the lore of Black Panther. It's not hard to find that he didn't create that. This was all his ingenuity. And so I feel like I'm cheating on. I feel like I'm cheating on my man if I say Sinners, but I do feel like it's Sinners, but it's really like it's so close because Black Panther is so close to my heart. I love what he did with Creed though, because the fact that you very rarely find somebody who could take someone else's IP that they have long-standing IP and flip it and put fresh life into it like he did. And it's amazing. And Creed is amazing. Then he passed it off to Michael. So and then Fruitville is just great, but it's it's not rewatchable. Not unless you want to be on the floor somewhere huddled in the ball. But it's amazing. It's just not rewatchable. So I'm gonna say Sinners. Sinners is I'm gonna see this movie probably 4 times in the theater at least.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going again. I'm definitely going again this weekend. Ain't no doubt. And yet maybe I'm the only one that done watched Fruitvale Station multiple times. I just don't watch the end part.
Okay, you skip
I watch it all the way up. I watch it.
At the last
I watch it all the way up to when they go out.
Yeah.
Yes, because just because Michael B. Jordan was fine in the movie.
You're gonna see anything that Michael is in. We know it's okay.
A shout out to Monique 69 Ways. Y'all hit that subscribe button on her channel. Yeah, after this past weekend.
Having 2 of my names in her name.
It's definitely gonna be a stack for me because number 1, he had a grill. Number 2, he had fangs with the grill. I don't even know Ryan, however you thought of that, you thought about me, and I appreciate you for that. This movie had a lot of themes. And I know I don't even have all of them in here because the more I think about it and the more reviews I watch, I'm like, I forgot about some things. I want to know, Quana, what themes stuck out for you in this movie? What kind of overarching themes really hit home for you?
I feel like it's really like the reclamation of ancestry and familial ties, being grounded in that, being a source of your faith. And we saw that in every single like the fact that he put that in every single character, even Bo and Grace. We had the familial ties for them and them being worried about their daughter, and we had every single character. It was something with their storyline that we never get to see, that where we see them connected to like a search for family and a search to reconnect to their family. And that was amazing to me.
Oh, absolutely. Nicole, what was some themes from the movie that stuck out to you?
Like mentioned, I definitely caught on to several themes. I won't say all because I'm still dissecting it myself. But what really stood out for me is definitely going to be music. That was definitely forefront for me. Culture and family dynamics as well. And Fate and Destiny, like mentioned, I could definitely see all the themes, but those particular themes, family dynamic, music, culture, Fate and Destiny, or Fate or Destiny, all resonated deep within me when I was watching it for the first time. Like mentioned, once I went ahead and kind of got online or on social media and was looking at different reviews and different breakdowns of the film, it stuck out a little bit more when it came to family dynamics. That's huge. But music is going to be number 1 for me. Music and culture for sure. I don't want to I know you said it was spoiler, but I'm sure we all know about that one scene where they were able to merge and mesh all of just all of our eras, all of our,
and we're gonna get to it.
That listen, I was like vibrating off of my seat. I was like, here we are. This is it. This is my moment. It surpassed all of it for me. Music is going to be my forefront when it comes to the themes.
Oh, definitely. Oh yeah, we definitely gonna talk about that scene in its own slide. Mark, what themes stood out for you? And in the chat, y'all comment what themes from the movie did you walk away from, or did you catch any that I didn't put in here? Drop it in the comments.
Lord, can y'all hear me? Because I'm going through okay. all of these are top tier for me. But I want to do a trifecta. I'm not trying to cheat or anything like that, but music, culture, and lore. Because I said earlier how he built this lore that has left me salivating at the mouth for more. Music, just because I'm well, I don't want to say I'm in the Delta, I'm Mississippi Delta, but in the Mississippi Delta adjacent. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, and let's just say that the music and the culture that comes with all of that, because to me in this area, music and culture merge together. And when I tell you that when that scene happened, everybody in the theater just got quiet. It's just like everybody got sucked into it. And there was a big black attendance for an IMAX film, which I was, happy about. But I cried both times I saw that scene because I went to go see it Thursday night and I went immediately to the first showing Friday afternoon, and I cried both times. And it wasn't like, I could stop it. It was just like it just stirred something in my soul. And so out of those top three, I would say the music is the top part of, because he nailed that. He nailed that. And yeah, it just chef's kiss. That's all I can say.
Mhm.
I'm on mute. 100%. Yes, chef's kiss. I was like I said, we gonna get into all of that, y'all. But if we missed any themes, y'all drop it in the comments and let me know what themes stood out to you from this movie. Because let me tell you something, Ryan did his big one with this one. Like, he was not playing. The more I think about it and dissect it, that's why I have to go again, because I heard about some things that I missed, and I can't do that. I got to go back and catch it. Y'all, the main event, the reason why I even cared about this movie at all, the twins. Okay. We got the twins here. We got Smoke and Stack, played both by the handsome and wonderful Michael B. Jordan. This man was able to play a set of twins and give them each their distinct personality to where you knew which one was which. Like, you could just tell by their whole demeanor. That's acting. And for anybody who ever said Michael B. Jordan is not a good actor, he's just handsome, or he just been getting by on good looks, go watch this movie and go watch Fruitvale Station. I promise you, you'll change your opinion. Let me start with Nicole. What did you think about the twins, Smoke and Stack, and Michael B. Jordan's performance?
Okay, so I was taken aback. First of all, I wasn't expecting anything else than excellence from Michael B. Jordan. I do want to put that out there. But yes, exactly. Like you said, I could tell the difference between the two. And while Stax was great, like he had that fire, that flame, I was all about Smoke. I was all about Smoke. He was very confident, very secure, very strong, he was holding it down. And like I said, I was very confident in Michael B. Jordan, but I was a little concerned I wouldn't be able to tell the two because I knew it was one actor. So I was going in thinking, okay, I'm going to have to kind of see, okay, well, who's wearing what color, who's wearing what outfit. And I did not need that at all. Like, it was very clear. It was very defined, this is Smoke and this is Stax. And you could just get it off of like really intricate or very small characteristics, like how Stax was laughing, how he was approaching other people in comparison to Smoke, who was not in the background, but very much like, I'm here. You see my presence, you feel me. You might not hear me, but you see me. And I definitely am. Stax was great, but I'm here for Smoke. I'll just put it.
I was here for Smoke, but I was here for Stack as a vampire. Maybe it's something wrong with me, but
I can relate. I can totally relate. But yeah, he blew it out of the park. I was taken aback. Like I said, I wasn't underestimating him, I don't want to put that out there. I was not underestimating Michael B. Jordan or his abilities, but yes, he did that. He did that for sure.
And did. Mark, how do you feel about the twins and Michael B. Jordan's portrayal as Smoke and Stack?
They like, like everybody said, he did the damn thing. I'll be honest with y'all. I initially had a hard time deciphering their names. I knew who was who. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew who like about the color scheme and everything like that. I knew who was who, but I kept switching up their names. So I would call Smoke Stack and vice versa. But by the time I got to the end of the movie, I was more of a Smoke person because when I mentioned in my review earlier today, they're the same. They're the two of the same token. Like Smoke is very like calculated. When I mean calculate, I mean he's not okay. You got Stack chaotic, and you got Smoke calm. If you know what I'm trying to say. So Smoke was the one looking at, he was seeing shit that Stack probably wouldn't pick up. And I was like, Stack might be the one who was more brash, because look at how they bartered. Look how they would get everybody to join to do this juke joint. Smoke came at it from a respectable manner. He taught the little girl how to barter with numbers and stuff like that. He bartered with the childs and everything like that. Stack just straight up insulted your ass in some capacity. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that he could switch between those, and you still could get it still felt like it was two different characters. Like there was two Michael B. Jordan, like Michael B. Jordan, his twin, Jordan Michael. I'm not Jordan, like Jordan Michael. You know what I'm trying to say. I mean, not, whatever his middle name is. I don't know what his middle name is.
Jordan at that
point. Bakari.
Yeah.
Is Bakari? Is it really Bakari? Okay, so Bakari, Michael Jordan, and then Michael B. Jordan. So the other one's Bakari. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just that damn good of a damn performance. And I know some people have been trying. We'll probably get to it later on because I don't know, but some people have been trying to downplay the movie when it comes to Oscar, chances and shit like that. But if he doesn't get nominated, I'm gonna be highly pissed off. And I usually don't let shit like that bother me when it comes to the Oscars because I know how they are. But if he don't get nominated for this damn movie, I'm gonna be really mad. I'm gonna be so hot because to sit there and not only play two characters, but play those two characters in the same scene and keep it, just down to the middle, just like, and keep it right. Kudos. Yeah. I mean, just like all the flowers, all the flowers, the draws, all of that thrown on the stage, like just throw everything up there.
All of it. Quana, how do you feel about the twin? How do you feel about Smoke and Stack and their personalities? And did Michael B. Jordan do his thing with these two?
Let me tell you, I didn't watch The Wire. I did not. I saw pieces of Friday Night Lights, but how I met Michael was on a little show called Parenthood when he was still just a young chap. Okay. And then, he came up through the ranks and was in, oh my gosh.
Hardball?
What's the found footage movie that he was in?
Chronicle.
Then he was in Chronicle. I remember him in all of those things. And he's always been someone for me who in the acting realm, depending on the role, was like, when he did Fahrenheit 451, but then it just really dawned on me, over the last 4 projects, how strong he's become. And he has been putting in the work. I really started to see it because I liked him as Killmonger. But what I really started to see it was Creed 3. When he the whole trilogy of Creed was strong, but Creed 3, I don't know, it was just something special in how he was performing in that I was just like, oh yes, he's locked in now. He's got it. He's found his rhythm. And this really, you could see it stretched him, but the collaboration with him and Ryan, it really worked and it melded. And this was, there have been different people who've done twin work before. This was so masterful. The two dynamics of these two men, it literally was like one man split in two. And for me, Smoke is the one who does it because he's more grounded. And I don't know, something with that scene with him and Annie was just like, oh my. I was like, oh my.
We're gonna talk about that.
Not getting from the back. Oh my. But
we don't talk about that.
But Stack is so smooth and so suave. And I would love to see really like something with them set maybe even in the 70s, because we see them in the 90s. I would love to see something with him and Mary in the 70s, see what they were getting into around that time. I'm trying to think like what was it, Studio 51 or Studio 54, whatever the name of the club was up in New York. Like, just try to think about them getting into those kind of hijinks. My goodness. But yeah, he did his big one. He did his big one. I'm so proud.
Absolutely. I'm moving right along with the real star of the movie that we didn't even see coming. This was the star here. Good old Sammy, aka Preacher Boy. And you know what? And we're gonna talk about the end credits as well, because I stayed because I was warned to stay until the lights come on. And I didn't really get the very, very end credit until I realized that the end credit was probably Sammy at the start of the day. And then I have some theories after that.
Mm-hmm.
Quana, I'm gonna start with you. How do you feel about Sammy? Him making that decision that I don't want to do gospel. Yes, he did.
Miles did a phenomenal job. I've seen a lot of buzz, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, because I think, I worry sometimes we ride these waves of someone really showing to the world, like, y'all keep doubting us. Look at what we can do. And then we ride that high for a while, and then nothing gets made for a while. And so I'm just praying. I'm gonna put this young man on my prayer list so that he gets more opportunities, because his voice is phenomenal. First and foremost, I went ahead and let me follow on everything. Let me follow this young man. His voice is phenomenal. I thought his performance was so good because he really brought in that innocence, and it was so believable. So I love what his arc means for the message of what the story is trying to say. And it was so necessary, because I don't think we could have gotten that message through Stack and Smoke. We needed Stack and Smoke to be exactly who they were. And we needed Sammy to be their innocent cousin who carried on beyond them,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't say. And he learned how to play the guitar for this. I mean, come on. Come on, my people are awesome. My people are amazing.
Yeah, little tidbit, because as you know, I told you I do my research. He said the artist heard that he was like an opening act for her, that she heard about the audition for this role and told him to go. Yes, so shout out to her.
Put him on. Gabby put him on. That's the kind of nepotism we need right there.
I said, that's what I'm talking about right there. Bring him in. Mark, how you feel about good old Sammy and saying, I want to sing my blues music?
Y'all, because everybody in the comments are already there with it. When I saw the trailer for the movie, I'm thinking that this was like a 15-year-old, kid, like he's gonna be at the juke joint, because that's how they get in trouble and stuff. They would sneak out and try to be grown and stuff like that. When he spoke, I said, I know that his damn voice. I know good and damn well that his voice. Then when he sung, I said, that's a whole ass grown ass man right there. But his face gives that innocence that was needed for that role. Um, Also, I gravitate because I identify more with Sammy because I had a cousin that was just like Stack, and my brother, who is no longer with us, was like Smoke, and they used to always hang out. When I was a freshman in high school, excuse me, I'm sorry, I was like, we were like the Smoke and Stack and Sammy, just that's how gravitated towards him because it reminded me so much of that. I learned everything from those two people, and they're no longer with us right now. So seeing him and just constantly like seeing I'm him. I'm like I'm so him, or where I can relate to him rather when I was at his age and whatnot. But Miles came in, and by this being his first ever role, you couldn't tell that this is his first ever role. He is like where Michael B.
Right.
Jordan was when he was his age.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? He is a force to be reckoned with and for us
Mhm.
to like protect. In the scene between when when Remick and everybody was trying to get them to come outside, like give me Sammy, and Deborah Lindo was like, no, he belongs to us, he's ours. I felt it two times over because in so many ways, not only was he the future for their particular community, but he's also the future of the culture.
Mhm.
So Sammy and I understood this plight about trying to pick between going the way of gospel and going the way of blues and whatnot, but he did his own thing and it worked out for him. So Sammy all
Yeah,
the way.
absolutely. Nicole, how you feel about Preacher Boy here?
Preacher Boy, yes. He was amazing. Miles, like I did my research, but I wasn't aware this was his first actual acting debut. And so I came in thinking, of course, he's going to have an amazing voice. Yes, that's very true. But also, it was very profound how they elaborated on his voice and his technical skills and his abilities. So that also I was taken aback on. But his actual acting performance, excuse me, I was not ready. I knew this boy was talented, of course. Like you mentioned, he came from her, or he worked with her, and was on tour with her and performed and did his thing as a musical artist. But as an actor, excuse me, this it was like second nature. It was so comfortable. You couldn't pick up on any awkward moments, any pauses, any he was fleshing right in with Michael B. Jordan, all the other very, very talented and very, very skilled and experienced actors. You couldn't tell. You couldn't tell. And that alone, I was like, this boy, like you said, let me go ahead and follow him on everything. He's gonna go ahead and be amazing. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, I heard his voice before. I will say in the film, it hit a little bit deeper. And I'm not too sure if it just because of the genre of music and, obviously the backstory of the film. But I was moved to tears when I heard him singing. And like I said, I've experienced it before. But Sammy Miles, he was the star. Michael, of
Yeah,
course, you have Michael, but he was the star. He was,
this was the
yeah,
star.
it was
Yep.
film. He killed it, and I have nothing but respect for the man. Honestly, it was amazing.
And here we go with the love interest.
Yes.
Now, I loved Woomy since Lovecraft Country. Okay, so anytime I know she's gonna be on the screen, she's gonna kill it. Period. And she is, and I'm so glad that they included this in a movie because although we see Sammy's dad in the church, so we got that Christian backdrop, but we also have the root worker there too, and we can't forget that's also a part of our culture, the culture that was stripped from us, that we gonna take whatever is outside and in nature and see how that's gonna protect us, and that they included this, and that is Smoke's love interest. And then we have Annie, who is she's moving on up in the world, part of the Marvel, universe these days. And this is Stack's love interest. And she was pissed that he left. Like, you married me off, you left, you broke my heart. Like, I thought we had something. She was just not having it. And just lost her mom who helped raise Smoke and Stack after their father passed away, quote unquote. After the father died. Nicole, how did you feel about Annie and Mary and their relationship with the twins?
Okay, so I will say twins are very similar, and I was expecting Annie and Mary, even though are not the same or whatsoever, to kind of have some kind of correlation or relevance to each other when it came to how they interact with the twins, which was completely the opposite. Annie was very, very tender, very, very loving, very, very nurturing. She was what we needed when it came to a female lead star, when it came to this role. Like, from her look to how she presented herself, how she held herself, how she carried her words, like, I'm sorry, perfection. I didn't need to see anything else. After that one moment with Smoke in the shop, and it was, that right there, I was like, this is exactly what we needed. You guys have no idea. Mary was great. Mary also held her part down, held her own in relation to Stack, I'm sorry. But Annie was my favorite. Annie is forever going to be my favorite. Mary did her job. I think it was really interesting when it comes to how the last 45, 50 minutes of the film kind of plays out, because she was the start of it all, kind of.
Right.
And it's also very interesting how her and Stack went on with their lives after the fact. But Annie, I can't stress it enough. We needed Annie. From her knowledge, her tenderness.
We needed her.
We needed her. She literally moved the film along, and I can't stress that enough. Like I said, everyone was great. Everyone was awesome. Everyone did their thing. But Annie, to this day, I'm like, there would be no actual Sinners without her, and without her knowledge, and without her insight and how she's going to, hey, just to let you know, this is actually what's going on, in case you guys weren't aware. Like, every time she would pop in and be like, let me just let you know now, this is what we're dealing with, and this is how we handle it. And if it wasn't for her, there would be no plot. It just wouldn't keep going on. I don't know. But yeah,
we always need that one person that knows stuff. You got to have somebody that know stuff, and that was her.
She knew, she was calm and collected. She had her experience from then and the past and the future. Like, I'm sorry, she was perfection in my eyes. She was.
Absolutely. Quana, now we got to talk about this. And I'm not one, because as a horror fan, I'm always one to be like, we don't really need love scenes in horror movies. Like, let's just get to the slash dashing. But in this movie, we needed this. We absolutely needed that. I said, are we gonna close the door, turn off the lights, close the windows, and that stuff?
We're gonna do it
out in the open.
Ain't no shame. Ain't no shame in her game. In front of the glory of the Lord, they're gonna make it happen. Okay. Wumi is she's just so magnificent. She always is. Every time she's on screen, she's magnificent. She's sensual. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous. She's regal. She's all the things. And I'm so glad that she got to be all the things. That you can't write her off as just a magical Negro sage figure. Yes, she knew stuff, but she also was a lover, and she was a tender, and she was a mother. She literally was all the things. And so I'm just so grateful for her representation on screen. I wish we could have had more of her. I wish that there's a way to, bring her back. The scene at the end was, I cried. But when she said you could still feel my body, oh my God, I said, girl, don't you putting it on like that? I was blushing so hard next to my husband, y'all. I was like, oh my, I need to take some notes and get my pen and paper out. So she was everything. Haley is such a talent. She's been a talent since she was a little girl in True Grit.
That's
always
right.
forget she's so young. And so I think 100% she was phenomenal in the part that she played. And I think finding out more about her ancestry and her being able to find out more about her ancestry through all of this is so special. I do wish that she was slightly older because because just from today's point of view, that she was perfectly fine in the time period that it would have been set in. But you know, we don't really know how old everyone is, but we know that like Michael and Wumi and all of them are around the same age, and she's about 10 years younger than them. But I love what she represents in terms of someone trying to seek to claim their Black heritage because she's trapped inside this white frame, and that's what the world is going to see. And so she has to separate herself from her Black family in order to keep them safe. And yet there's this longing and this lack of acceptance. And, you know, it's so many conversations to be had, but I think oftentimes when we see somebody of mixed heritage, people will say, well, why don't you make them go accept you? And we know why. Historically, they weren't going to be accepted. They might be now, but there was historical them not being accepted. And over here they could be. And so as someone who has a lot of very fair-skinned family members, my grandmother, my husband calls her my white-skinned grandma because she's fully Black, but she could fully have passed if she had wanted to. And probably at the end of her life was about the same complexion as Haley, might have been one shade above her during her younger years. Like, it was important, I think, to see that representation on the screen. And I love the color theory. I love putting them in the same colors or similar colors to what we see the men in, so that we know who they're linked with. It was just everything, y'all. It was everything.
Mm-hmm.
Except for that drill scene, that took me out, child. I was like, what? I was slain. There was an audible gasp in the IMAX. What?
Right. You had to throw a little cringe in there. But see, in a vampire movie, you can get away with stuff like that.
He said everybody gonna be an eater in this movie. Everybody gonna be an eater in this movie.
I mean, if he gonna preach the word, then go say what you got. Pop your shit, Ryan. Mark, how did you feel about Annie and Mary and their relationship with the twins, with the smokestack twins?
I just gotta say that I was about to go clock back into work, but when y'all got to these beautiful women, I had to stop. I said, I'm gonna be late. I'll gladly be late for this particular conversation right here. Because Quanta, you hit it on the nail when it comes to Mary. Everything you said is what I wish I could have like put into words when I was trying to discuss that character, because I mean, no notes. I just wish that I could have said it just as eloquent. I won't say eloquent. You hit the shit on the nail. What I'm trying to say. But I'm gonna talk about Mary.
That's a teacher voice that came out.
I'm about to talk about it. I'm about to talk about Annie before I get on Mary right quick though. But Annie is, and like Wunmi herself, like I discovered her also in Lovecraft Country. Somebody told me today that she was in Batman versus Superman. I said, where the fuck at? Because that movie made me mad. And they had to sit there and say, well, most of the scenes were cut. I said, well, that's irrelevant. But anything Wunmi is in, she owns. And so when they announced that cast and they said Wunmi, and I said Wunmi and Michael B. Jordan could be in something together, I'm like, okay, so Ryan knows how to pull from the MCU. You know what I'm saying? Because she's also the MCU, so is Haley Steinfeld. You know what I'm saying? All of them in the MCU. But the fact that he knows that they are something that they can offer outside of that, and plus Wunmi has done His House, you know, Lovecraft Country. She also has another show in the UK that's kind of supernaturally tinged and stuff like that. Amazing. And another thing I love about her character was she reminds me so much of women that I grew up with. You know, they were probably protecting me from like the hoodoo stuff, because I didn't know how much hoodoo is connected to Christianity and stuff like that a lot of people don't want to mention. Because I tell people, you do know when you put peas in your wallet or purse, something like that, to bring wealth to you throughout the year at the beginning of the year. That's a hoodoo practice. That's something I had to learn late. And I was like, a lot of people who go to church and they, demonize all of that, they don't realize that they do a lot of hoodoo stuff without any knowledge to it. And I was so glad that this was celebrated in this movie and that she was the one doing all the root work, because it wasn't like she was ashamed. Like we hit her with that question, like, with all this works, then why is our baby dead? She sat there, hit him like she said, I don't know, but I know your ass is standing here in front of me, and I know it worked then. You know what I'm saying? So and that's just a paraphrase, but so it's only certain things that you can do, but what she knew what she was talking about, and it wasn't in like a hackneyed, don't go to that crazy woman over there in the swamp who doing all that weird stuff. It was just like, everybody knew she was, and they accepted her. And the fact that, of being a thick girl and her being of dark skin complexion and her being like the top love interest. Just a little side note, because one of the things about Will Smith's movies that I could never understand was like, you always have somebody who is like statuesque. You never have like somebody that Black women could relate to, all of them. You know what I'm saying? And so I like how Ryan, dove into that, saw that Wumi has the talent, and he put her up there. And any scene that she was in, I just had to shut up and listen. That actually goes for all four of the women in this movie. They ate up, and I don't mean like, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not talking about in a cheesy manner. They just they just commanded the screen. And I feel like she did that excellently. And I know we're not doing the spoilers, but I just the another moment where I cried at, besides the moment where at the end of the movie, but when she got, and she saw who did it, she said, "Oh no, not you." That shit took me out, because she had to look at the face of the man that shared the face. It just took me out. And so Annie all day long. We need more Annies in horror, done right, because when they do put somebody like Annie's, the complete contrast to Wumi's Annie is, what's her name? Megan Good's character in that movie, that slasher movie, where she was the magical Negro, and they're trying to protect all the white folks in the movie and stuff like that. But she was so damn good. I could talk about Wumi all damn day long.
She
But I'm gonna
don't
go.
miss. I loved her in His House, and I loved her in Lovecraft. Like if you put her in horror, she's gonna do what needs
She's
to be
gonna
done.
do it. I love her to death, and I feel like, and another thing about this, she don't act funny about being put in horror movies and horror situations, stuff like this. She just takes it. And even in the MCU, her character in MCU, she is like a boss now. So she went from being a grunt to now she's a boss. So I love that about for her. Mary, when I was in the theater and she was like, she had that line when Stack was telling her, "Yo, if you don't get up out of here, I can have one of these women come in here and whoop your ass." She said, "No, you taught me how to fight. I'll beat up every bitch up in here." I was like, "Oh, wait a minute now." I was like, like, calm down now. I was like, but then I was
chill
like,
out, little Hawkeye.
yeah, they're like, just chill out, chill out, because they, I want to see how bad you can fight now, but we didn't get a chance to see that. So, but I get why she was upset, but I also understood her character and why she wanted Stack, because she knew that he wasn't going to be, safe for her. In that situation, the whole scenario was just very, very dangerous for him and for her. So he was trying to protect both of them. And I saw that she finally realized that, and she could have easily left and went, but she was like, "No, I'm gonna stay with my people." You know what I'm saying? And another thing I like about Mary was the fact that, and Quanta, you mentioned this earlier, because has anybody here read Passing by Nella Larson?
Yeah, I've read.
I seen the movie.
Yeah, so I remember reading that, and even I think it was a no, it wasn't. But anyway, I was just saying that she could have easily fell into that, and I compared actually Mary to the character from Imitation of Life, and how she wanted so much to be like, I'm finna utilize this, and just I'm ashamed of my mama, I'm ashamed of all of that, And Mary was the complete opposite of that. She was like, yo, I know who I am. Yeah, I have this skin, but it's like a curse because I can't be with my people because it's going to bring them harm. And I don't, and I know I don't belong in the other world because, like y'all said, I remember reading a story where this woman birthed a black, she was passing, but and no, it was the son, he was passing. And he birthed this woman, and I mean he got this woman pregnant, and she, of course, she had a black baby. They beat her ass to death for lying, even the whole entire time it was him that was actually black. And so stuff like that happened. So that's why I was like, I'm glad that she actually knew this, because she could have easily sat there and get their get out of jail free card and been like, hey, I could pass away, I don't need to be around you motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? So I love her. I love Hailey Steinfeld. I loved every scene that she was in, even when she gave my favorite line of the movie, which is, "We gonna kill all of you." We gonna. It's, I don't know. It just, the way she delivered that reminds me of Jane Levy in Evil Dead 2013. Y'all gonna die tonight. It just sends chills to your bone. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm sorry.
Moving right along to some this movie had heavy hitters. I don't care what y'all say. This movie had some heavy hitters in it. We got Delta Slim and Cornbread. Delta Slim said, these people gonna pay me every night. You gonna pay me for one night. Okay. What can you do for me? Then we got Cornbread. Cornbread was in the cotton fields with his pregnant wife. They had to put him in the truck and said, I'll pay you enough that you ain't even got to, I don't care about that. And the scene with Cornbread trying to get in, y'all, this is the horror that I'm talking about. I live for stuff like that. I completely live for stuff like that. Nicole, how did you feel about Delta Slim? Because Delroy's a legend. He a whole legend. And Cornbread, especially that scene where he was trying to like invite me in.
Well, Delta Slim was the comedic relief that I needed for the film. Like, I was kikiing the whole time. Every time he had something going on, I was living for it. Cornbread, that scene where Cornbread's asking to be invited into, and where's my money? That whole situation. Listen, I've seen it. I saw it. I saw the trailers and the previews. I was prepared. I still wasn't, actually. He went and reached and gave them, and listen, once the action hit, I wasn't screaming, obviously, but I was definitely like, ooh, this is now very exciting. I knew he was a vampire, but I didn't think he was going to take action like he did against Smoke. So I was anticipating some kind of, let's pop off type situation until he actually did it. But I do actually want to go back to Delta Slim. Him sacrificing himself. Yes. The makeup. Yes. The audio. Yes. I could go on just about that one scene. From, like I said, the makeup on his arm, the camera angle, the top angle where it's his body laid out and everyone's surrounding him and feasting, and then also the audio of everybody feasting as well. It is chef's kiss. Sorry, I get into that kind of detail a lot because the gore is what I'm here for. So yeah. The way he went out, I was like, this is what I'm talking about. I literally sat up in my seat and I was like, this is what I'm here for. Literally, this is what I came for. But Cornbread obviously did his job. I will say, when Stax, approaches him in the field and that back and forth between him and Cornbread, and
hilarious.
I needed it. It made it perfect. Which also then, in result, made me really like Cornbread, because at first he was like, hold on, you're not going to talk to me like that. And then he was like, okay, this is who this is. And then he was like, all right, let me just go. Like that alone made me kind of like the character a lot. So once he got Guy, I was like, oh no. But it definitely sped up the pace when it came to the action, horror, and thrill of it all. So I think they did what they need to do. I'll put it that way.
Speaking of audio, and this is why I need to go back and watch it, because I didn't catch it. They said when Delta Slim was telling the story about what happened when him and his friends had earned a lot of money for playing music for for these group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't see like a flashback, they just let him tell the story. But whoever did the score of the movie played the sounds from there. Like you could hear the screams, you could hear the terror, you could hear the music that was playing. Like I missed that, and I have to go back and watch that. Quana, did you catch it?
Oh, I caught it. So that scene, because I was like, oh, please don't show it. Please don't show it. When he was telling it, and then you could hear the crowd of people. So if you listen faintly, you could hear the crowd of people that were gathering for the lynching, like saying things like shouting out at him, string him up, and all kinds of other things, and like laughing at him. And then you could hear like the rope thrusting over the tree. It was very visceral. But I love how people like Ryan and then even like Ramel Ross with Nickel Boys are finding ways of like showing us the history without exposing us to so much of the trauma. But it was a good oral history moment. You know, my teacher part of me, my English teacher part of me, just on the fact that I teach film, but then I also teach literature, and you can really treat this film like a piece of literature. Like he thought about, I want to go back and say the fact that he was obviously, him and MBJ were coming up with the idea of this and the idea of the twins together, but he knew enough to know we needed an everyman character who could take us through the world. So he created Preacher Boy, Sammy, and then adding the elements of being able to hear the sounds of things to create that flashback moment without it being a full flashback, without it interrupting the narrative flow, so that we didn't really get any true flashbacks. We had except for the flashback that starts the circular narrative that we have from beginning to end. It was so, I mean, like Ryan, yes, you could have been next to me in English class. It was so good. But Delta Slim and Cornbread were amazing. I said in the chat, Omar hasn't aged since 8 Mile. he still
let
looks
me
like
tell
a baby.
You, so recognizable in every role.
He is. I was like, man, I said, I remember watching Shall We Dance on repeat in college all the time. Like that was one of my comfort movies. I would watch it again and again because I would watch the original Korean version and then I would watch the American version. And so his character, because his character was supposed to be getting married to Maya, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was like sweating profusely and trying to learn how to dance or something like that. And I would just watch it again and again. So he hasn't aged a bit. Delroy is just, I always forget he's British. I always forget he's a Brit. He's so amazing at playing Americans that we just let, we need to go ahead and give him an honorary. he can slide wherever he wants to. Any cookout, barbecue, whatever you want to go to, Delroy, you can come to. But they were so necessary to ease some of the tension. And for me, it was good because you know how I feel. I love a good horror comedy moment. So it gave us those comedic moments that we could kind of break. And that's also reflective, I think, of the culture, because we don't take anything too seriously. Like we're going to be sad about something for a second, but then we're going to find a way to laugh at. We be at a funeral and we go 2 seconds after they done carried the body out. We cutting up and saying, you remember when he did da-da-da-da-da? We cracking up on the sidewalk. So it felt like that. It felt like it reflected that, having them in there and having those comedic moments.
Yes, because see, this is how I know Ryan Coogler know black people like Jordan Peele knows.
For real, he knows for real.
He knows that we need a little comedy in there. We need just a little comedy to break the tension up.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, how you feel about Delta Slim and Cornbread?
Well, Delta Slim reminds me. I tell you, we all know that we have people like Delta Slim in our lives. My parents, my parents and my family members used to have like these gambling card games every other weekend, and there was a lot of Delta Slams at these events, and that's how you find out about a lot of stuff that happened, back in the day. And I had to do a research paper on one of those people and hearing about lynchings and working the cotton field when Delta Slim was recounting all those stories, especially when they drove by the chain gang and stuff like that. And it was just like, I'm like, he's gonna give us a tale because he has so many to tell because he's seen so much. And even when he saw the talent within Sammy, it's kind of like that was his I don't want to say watcher per se, but it was kind of like his, mentor. Even in that short amount of time, Sammy and Delta Slim became kind of close. You probably didn't see it much in the movie, but you kind of feel that for them to like when they did the performance together,
Bonded
it's kind of
over
it's
music.
kind of like they both knew each other's, strengths. And Delta Slim could have still been like, the little nigga don't know what he talking about. He just smiled, but he was like, nah, that's talent, and I'm gonna make sure that he is shown. That's why he said this on, hey, tell them where you from and what you can do. It just that type of yes, he was a father figure. Because think about, what his dad was doing. His dad was trying to discourage him from his, work, from his talent. And Delta Slim was like, no, you can be something. And so it's just and the fact that Delta Slim did some, when he made that sacrifice because he knew how important it was to get their boy, out. So it just I loved him for that. I love Delroy Lindo for anything he's in. He's just amazing. Now
Mhm.
cornbread, we all know some cornbreads. Omar Miller did it, and this is one of those situations where it was just like no matter what part of the movie he was in, he knew the assignment and he delivered it. And even like the little small scene of like, oh yeah, come on in, come on in, have fun. Where my $2 at? It like it would no like it was like he didn't break a sweat. It was just like, where my $2? You know what I'm saying? It was just like little small stuff like that is just very, very talented. And I love anything Omar's in pretty much. So yeah, I love both of them. I love them both.
Yes, very old school classic actors. Okay, these are superstars in the black community. Okay, if it's a black movie, you're gonna see one of these two in it. Now, here's where
Mm-hmm.
we get to a turning point in the movie with the Chows. Okay. See, at first I was cool with the Chows. They said, we got the sign, we're gonna give y'all, we got the flowers, we gonna provide y'all with the catfish. And both of them let me down. Both of them. Mark, while I got you, tell me how you feel about the Chows.
Okay, y'all gonna be mad as hell at me. I can already tell I'm gonna get cussed all the way out by all three of y'all. Now I liked how they were able to cross the racial barrier, like that whole scene where they showed where Lisa went to get Grace from the white side of the street and bring her over to the black side. I kind of liked it, and I kind of liked how they were with the shit. If you get what I'm trying to say, they were like, a we can work with y'all. Get yeah, you shot this dude in the ass and stuff like that. We're gonna work with you and stuff like that. And they seemed like they had like they went back a long ways with the Stackhouse on that Stackhouse shit, the smokestack boys and whatnot. They provided the food, a lot of the stuff and everything like that, and they just seemed like they were with it. Now, Grace, I know a lot of people are mad at her. I know a lot of people are mad at her. Um, But I'm not gonna say I would have done the exact same thing that she would have done, but I would have. I was with her with we got to take them all out before they get to the town because if they get to the town, we're fucked. And I don't want to get into why I was okay. So let me explain it because they were doomed no matter what. They just didn't know it until they was told by the vampires and everything. But I would have wanted to take all of them, as many of them out before they got to the town, because when I watch stuff like this, siege movies with demons and vampires and stuff like that, or some type of chemical getting out and it possesses people, the first thing I go to is like, what would I do if I was in the situation and knew that I had to sit there and protect my folks? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want my folks to die by this type of bullshit. So I would try to take out as many. I would try to contain the shit as much as possible. So I get why she did what she did. I would probably have waited a little bit longer because we don't know what time it was. We don't know what time. We didn't see not one clock on the wall. We didn't sit there and say, girl, if you just wait for just a couple of hours. But I don't know. I actually understood why she did what she did. I just wish she had waited just maybe another 30 minutes or something like that. But I don't know.
Nah,
But
because it's F them kids.
no,
Stay in. Stay in.
no,
Stay
see that's.
in.
I mean, I get it, but I get what she was trying to say, because it was like, I explained out that we get deeper into it, because now I have to explain why I feel that way later on when we get deep into it. But I explained it later.
Nicole, how did you feel? Did you feel that she was right for trying to stop all the vampires from going out into the city when they threatened her child? Or do you feel like, she should have stayed put? And like they said, we just got to wait. We ain't inviting nobody in. We just got to wait it out till the sun come up. What would you have done, Nicole?
Honestly, I'm torn, because I get both sides. Maybe I'm torn in three ways, because honestly, if I was with her and she was like, I gotta go, I just would have kicked her out. But in the same breath, like, at the end of the day, they're going to come get us. So like, we gotta face the fact that we're either gonna nuck till we buck, like, like, we gonna fight, or we just gonna wait until they get us. But then at the same exact time, I'm kind of like, we could have just waited it out. Like I said, I'm definitely team fuck them kids, but at the same time, I'm definitely team kick her out. If she wants to go, she can go. And then the third time, I'm kind of like, well, why don't we just, I don't know. There's no making peace when it comes to this. Realistically, like, honestly, there's no film if we're just sitting around. So like, I'm torn. I don't have a side. I will gracefully just sit this one out. My apologies. I can't pick a team. I can't.
No, we would have still had a movie. Michael B. Jordan was still in it, and he had his arms out by then.
Yeah.
That's the movie.
Yeah. I really feel like they should have just let her go with her husband and her child. But I mean, that's me. So.
Got it.
Right.
Quana, how you feel? What would you have done in this situation? Do you think that she was right in saying let's take them on now before they reach the town, or was you mad that she did what she did? Was it betrayal?
You don't force other people to fight your battle for you. If you were that gung-ho about getting to your baby, then you find a way. You slather yourself with some garlic and you run your behind out there and you find a way to go get your baby. You don't force everyone else's hand. And that's where she messed up. Mm-hmm. I loved Bo, because you could, first of all, just from jump, you could just tell the dynamic, right? When Smoke first went into town and reconnected with Bo, you could tell Bo used to run with them. And when he got with Grace was probably like, you need to stop hanging out with them bad again and smoking stack. They're going to get you in trouble. We over here with this money trying to run this store and whatnot. You over here trying to be out in these streets, trying to gamble and drink with smoking stack. And you could just kind of tell, like, she tolerated them because she knew them from around the way. But Bo was really trying to be about that life. Like, we saw him, he wasn't even man in nothing. He was at the games playing. He was like, oh, I forgot I'm supposed to be watching the hand, but he was sitting there. He had them dice in his hand. He was really trying to be within the community. And she was trying to be more like, no, this is what our legacy is, this store. These two stores right here, you over there on the black side, I'm over here with the white people, and this is what we operate in. And you could see that in the dynamic. And I think one, it was really important because Ryan is talking to some of the tensions that happen with like the Asian community and Black community, where it was easier in many ways for them to have ownership of things than it was for us without being as harassed or as strict, because it wasn't like they weren't, but maybe not with the frequency. It was a nice little, as the actress even said, they often got to be a go-between. And the problem with that is when you buy into the white supremacy side of it, where you're getting those white people are pouring into your pockets, you kind of start believing the hype a little bit. Now, I don't think that's what we saw play out per se, but I think she was just there to kind of represent that. But at the end of the day, yeah, she should have. That's your man out there. I'm so sorry to you that the vampire man done got in his head, and now he's talking about he know how you'd like to be licked in Chinese. That was some dirty work. I'm saying Ryan was so shady for that.
You nasty.
He said it in her language too. Talking about, I know how you like to be licked, and he's saying it in Chinese. Oh, pearls clutched.
Let me find out on the low. Ryan Coogler a freak for real.
I mean,
this movie shows.
I'm let y'all know. He said, "Y'all see my pregnant wife up here in the movie? I'm gonna let you know how we made them babies. Okay, I'm gonna let you know right now. I was putting in that work.
Period.
We gonna make all these men generous men. You're gonna know they good men. They generous." But
that's the word for it, generous.
She was wrong, but because she should have sacrificed herself, especially because look what happened. It literally, they was in that bar 3 seconds and she was gone. So right. She should have just figured out a way to go about it on her own, or realize that, hey, Annie is the one who knows some stuff. Let me listen. Let me lock in with Annie and do what she says, because if we all die, nobody's going to save Lisa anyway.
That this comment, somebody said the devil has Duolingo.
No other languages.
Hilarious.
That man said, "I know how you like to be licked." I said,
oh, that's what we're doing. Okay, I was like, this y'all some. Y'all
know where the button is.
Okay. Let's say this. Ryan, what was you? No wonder you wanted to make a vampire movie. If you want to be freaky in a horror movie, make it about vampires.
Definitely.
I'm like, what you trying to tell us? What you trying to say?
The perfect thing to use for that.
Yeah, always.
Exactly. But I'm here for it. Y'all, we about to really get into it in a second, because let me tell you, I got some things to say about the music scene in this movie that was spectacular. But before I do that, I want to say shout out to the 20+ people that are here watching us live. Make sure you hit subscribe and like everybody's channel. Okay, this is a spoiler review. We really about to go into a deep dive in this scene. We got a lot more, but before we do that, I gotta take just a moment for y'all to appreciate my second husband. We're gonna be right back. Any fans out there? Y'all are welcome. I just needed to spotlight him one good time. Quana, the music. Listen, when they had the scene to let us know, and it didn't hit me until the vampire showed up and started like talking, that Sammy is gifted, that his voice and his guitar thins the veil to transcend time and space, to where his voice and music can call not just ancestors, but descendants. And that the vampires saw that and wanted his gift because they're a hive mind. And if he has the gift, they have the gift. And what do you do with a vampire that can transcend through time and space? Quana?
I don't even have words still for how absolutely beautiful that scene was, how restorative it was, how healing it was. Ryan Coogler was really performing some alchemy in that scene. He really was. He was really turning some stuff into gold, you know. But yeah, I mean, just the fact that, you know, the story is about making a deal with the devil to have the gift. Sammy already possessed the gift. And I love that. I love that. I think people miss that part. I saw someone today was kind of trying to suggest that Sammy, that maybe he had made a deal with the devil earlier. And like, no, the whole purpose was that gift was God given to him. That was his gift, that, you know, anything that's going to tie you to the ancestors. And that was the whole reason why Remick didn't have that gift. Because if Remick had the power to give him that gift, he would already have it. He didn't have it. Just like Annie said in the lore, right? They're trapped in their body, so they're cut off from their ancestry. So the idea that we're not cut off from our ancestors, and it was Ryan's way of reminding us that we can tap into our heritage and the gifts that came before. It was absolutely amazing, breathtaking. This young man has, and then you can hear it in his voice. Thank you to her for telling him to try out for the role, but they could not have found anyone better. The only person who was missing from me from the soundtrack who has a similar tone, in my opinion, is a singer by the name of Kirby. If you've never heard of her, she's out of Memphis, if I'm not mistaken. And they both have voices that transcend time. They have voices that would suggest that they are older than their years. They're in their voices. You can hear the ancestors. You can hear Mahalia Jackson. You could just hear voices from other times in their voices. And so you needed someone with that particular voice, with that particular gift. I don't think if it was just someone who was just like a cute little R&B singer, it would not have given what we got with this. And I saw someone say Ludwig is one of those people, I think, because he is a curator of these sounds and these songs. He's not trying to own them, but he's simply just curating them, that he pays such attention to it, even with using the Irish folk songs in there. It was just so good. It was so good.
Completely. Nicole, how did you feel about the music scene?
Everything, yes, everything. But for me, at least, being a professional dancer for over 20 years, the music really resonated with me because simply I was able to go ahead and tie in. I did African dance before. I did hip hop dance, and here I am in 2025 just bopping around. But it definitely ties into every aspect of what you're you're taught to learn and appreciate and grow with, especially from my upbringing. So I was able to appreciate it on a whole different level, and to see it in one scene was, like I said, I got very emotionally, like I was like not bawling, but I was definitely moved to a different level. Um, and then even just seeing in that whole scene where the roof is burning, you know, because we that, at least me growing up, we partied until the roof was on fire, you know, like
My best friend pointed that out watching the movie. He's like, are they trying to say like the roof is on fire? And I'm like, I think so. Like metaphorically, yeah.
we not stopping, like like that whole connection, that whole time, like, so that we had that. And then, like she said, we had the gig when it came to the Irish dancing, to kind of transfer, go ahead and not trap, but like, yeah, kind of like invite them in as to, hey, this is what we're trying to do. You know, obviously that's what you're doing. This is what we're doing. Let's mix. And that's not the way it should ever. That's not the way it goes. So, seeing that visually on screen was, like I said, I keep saying emotional, but I was like, you know, in tears. Unfortunately, like that, it definitely brought out a very emotional reaction for me. So we have not only the mix of, you know, all types of different eras when it comes to not only music but dance, because they also had like ballerinas, they had tribal African dancing, they had the Chinese, you know, the different Asian cultures within dance. They had so much, not just music, but dance. So once you go ahead and flip all of that and mix it all in, and then you bring in The Roof is on Fire, and then outside of that, you have someone looking in who is just gigging, trying to get in. It kind of just, as a whole, and sorry, I'm probably making no sense to everybody, but as a whole, because I've been in front and behind the camera, it was magnificent. It was something, to this day I really can't explain or describe in words. It's one of those, like, you definitely have to see and experience it for yourself, and then try again later, until you can really, really resonate and really understand what that particular scene is bringing out, because it's a mix, whether you're just musically inclined, whether you're you play instruments, or you sing, or you dance, or you just simply observe. um it was moving. It was very, very moving, between that scene, The Roof is on Fire, and them being outside of the party that you can't get in. um it was cool. It was cool. And to this day, I'm still like, hey, I'm probably gonna see that, like you said, 3 or 4 more times in theaters, just to like really get the whole encompass of it all, really to feel the magnitude of it all. Because, like I keep saying, being there, experiencing that, dealing with that, dealing with all types of different cultures and dance practices and techniques, I, to this day, I'm like, there's nothing that really tops that scene. There is nothing to this day that tops that one single scene. It's so profound, whether you're coming from behind or in front, whether you're interested or not, whether you've dealt with it or not, you've experienced it or not. You can't tell me you can sit and watch that scene and not feel anything. And
Filmmaking at its finest.
exactly. And that's literally why I will stand and die on that hill, that the music, that theme is, it's out of this world. That the music alone, the music and the culture, once you tie those two, I get what everyone else is saying, but that's what gives me chills at the end of the day. As a horror film, which is also very profound. No? Like, sorry. Sorry.
Oh, absolutely. It made it even that much more chilling, because you see like these Black people in there, and our culture and ancestry and descendants, like the veil has thinned, that we're connected from past, present, and future. And
Correct.
these vampires are like, oh, I want some of it.
Yes. No. And that's what they
Yeah.
kept repeating, whether it was the beginning of the film, the middle of the film, and the after. We have this talent that not only connects our past, but our present and our future. And that scene in itself, that was it for me. I'm like, that was it for me.
Amazing work. Mark, how did you feel about the music juke joint scene?
Is it Nicole?
Yes, Nicole. Sorry.
You said you didn't make any. No, you made perfect sense. That whole entire spiel, and I mean in a great way, because you put into words again, like what I said with Quanta earlier. Y'all are on it, because there's no words that could describe when Sammy started singing "I Lied to You." You already knew the song was going to be good. You already knew, you was already in it. You know, it's like you was in the juke joint with them, you vibing with it. And then when that echo came in, they started doing the flashes to him talking to Delta Slim. You knew then. And so when they start showing the tribal dancers and the tribal musicians, and then this shit switched over, I'm getting upset again. Not upset, but just like getting chills talking about it again, breaking it down. And then when that damn electric guitar came out of nowhere, and then they panned it back, and you saw the damn turntable, and then they panned it over, and then you saw the damn bounce movement, the twerking in the kitchen.
I felt like I was on something.
My face was wet, and then they sat there. They added in the Chinese dancers, and then they took it back some more. There was the guy with the mask, the white mask with the little. A guy beside me said, "Now this motherfucker is speaking truth, and he'd have put this motherfucker in there." And I was like, "Who is he?" Because I'm like, I feel like I know this deity, but I could never. I didn't know what his name was, what their name is. And then when they sat there and just the roof like started burning up, oh man. You know what it kind of reminded me of with the roof burning up? The beginning of House Party. You know, they partied so hard the roof literally came off the fucking house. I said, oh my God. And like you said earlier, it's like everybody's in there minding their own damn business, being free in this Jim Crow era where they are always subjected to, white supremacy and everything like that. That one moment, everything just coalesced, and it was just like a breath of fresh air. And then they standing outside, like you said, looking like, And it always reminds me of like they want our culture.
Yeah.
And I said they're out here culture vulturing. You know what I'm saying? Like they could probably mind their own business walking. Because another thing, we didn't have no white interference in this movie, except for them buying the shack at the beginning of the movie. Once Hardwood left, that was it. You just saw their life, their black life. And I always tell people that this particular scene is the linchpin when everything turns left for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, and even just the opening song that they played when they revealed the twins, the sound, the score, it just made me feel so like that shit resonated with. It went through, like, it hit all the pressure points in my body, and I was like, it's like the music itself is a character in the movie.
Yeah,
it's like his own personal character. And yeah, I mean, that scene needs to be studied. It needs to have a whole class, maybe not a class particular to the scene, but it needs to be somebody's lesson in their classroom
That
to
scene
sit
needs
there and
to
break it
get
down.
a Grammy and an Oscar.
Yes.
Nothing.
And did you guys hear that there is a musician here in Memphis who met with Ryan Coogler and Ludwig, and they sat there and he toured them around the Delta, and they actually sat and did some. I think they did one song here in Memphis. They produced it, and it shows. It really shows, and I just can't. It just I'm getting. Let me calm down because I'm getting chills thinking about it all over again. But it's just the music. Immediately went to Apple Music and downloaded both the soundtrack and the score. And just I had to have both of them. So yeah, the music.
You
They
got
can't keep getting. They can't keep giving Ludwig all the awards because he gonna be taking everything. Every time I mean, because I think he just got one for daggone what's the Bond movie?
The last Bond movie.
No, not Bond. Oppenheimer. I'm looking on my shelf. I think he got
Oh,
one for Oppenheimer, didn't he?
probably did. I would put it past.
I mean, that man just keep racking up awards. That was amazing. I just wanted to point out that it was an homage to the Sugar Shack. So if you've ever seen Good Times, or I think maybe Marvin Gaye had it on the cover of one of his albums, it was an homage to that. But you know, it just popped in my head while we were talking about. It reminded me of Mark. And so I'm gonna give you your flowers now, because when you were talking about how just impactful it was, and how it led from them being in the car to then that scene and us getting to see like the slow reveal of how good Sammy's gift being revealed. It kind of on the reverse reminded me of Sucker Punch. You know how in Sucker Punch we never actually get to see her dance?
Yes.
That same music plays to let us know when she's dancing, but we never actually get to see it. It was like, and it's the one thing that after you leave the movie, if you're a fan of the movie, because some people didn't like it, I liked it. But if you if you that's the one thing that you always wish, like, dang, I wish I could have seen what her gift was, how powerful her dance was, because obviously her dance allowed her to transcend. But this was like the ultimate payoff, because we actually got to see his power realized.
Yes.
So it's kind of the reverse of that, and just showing you how music can really play on multiple levels. I just had to throw that in because that popped in my head.
Oh yes, the good parallel. His voice was so powerful. It enters the demons. The vampires heard it. That gift went through time and space for real. That they had to pull up on the outside. And then they had to do a little shuck and jive to see if they was gonna get in. I was just like, oh, y'all performing now. Y'all doing a little tap dancing to see if they're gonna let you in. I loved the scene where Remick was introduced, because up until that point, you wouldn't even known this was a horror movie.
Correct.
I went to see it with one of my friends, and apparently he hadn't seen any trailers or anything, because once this scene with Remick came in, and he was like, "Is this a vampire movie?" I was like, "What? I thought you knew this whole." But the thing is, he was enjoying the movie and didn't even know it was a horror movie before that. Like, this movie was a whole movie before the genre flipped. And when Remick knocked on them people's door, and I knew it was gonna be over for them when the Native Americans showed up. And they ain't even fight with them. They turn over there and said, "Oh, it's the hood over there. You know what? All right then. We out of here. Y'all on your own with this one." Y'all, I said, you see, y'all, they let racism get their asses turn real quick and fast. And the turn for these vampires was quick, because I knew all hell was gonna break loose when I realized all it took was a bite and about a good 5 minutes for them to turn. I said, everybody gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. Quana.
Listen, that I said, okay, let's see what kind of vampire lore you got going on, Ryan. Oh, that's what we do. I was like sitting there, I was like, oh, they ain't got no downtime. They don't got to go underground and come back up like in Buffy. They don't got to do it. They don't got to wait at all. Oh yeah, he about to tear everybody up. I appreciate though. I wish he would have just went ahead and killed them. I wish he hadn't turned them. But I appreciate that he saw that hood and he said, "Oh, I'm about to have my next meal right now." I appreciate that. I felt like he was looking out for 2 seconds.
For real. And he knew that they would be a good cover. He knew that they would be a good house to cover him. And they played because Remick played on the fact that these white people were racist because they were related to the guy who sold the juke joint, and he knew that.
Yeah,
He knew that.
it's a good allegory. You talked about it earlier about how this whole film is also an allegory for the development of race and race relations in America, and how, you know, at one point you had, you know, it's kind of starts with Smoke and Stack talking about the Italian and Irish mob, but they ended up having go after each other, which everybody is speculating was like the Valentine's Day massacre in Chicago. But how both of those groups were at one point not considered white, because white's not a real construct. But by the British descendants, they weren't considered white until it was necessary for them to be white so that the numbers could be on their side. And so kind of with Remnick, right? With Remnick, it was like he sees these people who are Southern white, and he's like, oh, they'll accept me because I'm a white man juxtaposed to these Native Americans who are chasing me out here. They're going to see them and they're going to try to cover for me, and now I can tear into them. So he, you know, it's like the evolution of that kind of plane. And then slowly we start to see as he pulls more people in, it's really people being pulled into trying to into that division, into buying into like that white supremacy and that patriarchy and everything, and really, you know, buying into giving up their identity to be a part of what he has going on.
Exactly. You said that perfectly. Nicole, how did you feel about the vampires in this movie? The look of them, how Ryan, the teeth that they have, the with the glowing of the eyes, even we can tell when they're hungry and they start drooling. How do you feel about his take on vampires?
Okay, boom. So first things first. Sorry. The fact that Ryan kind of tapped in on the fact that the vampires were based off of the animation of Puss in Boots. So from the demeanor to the glowing red eyes, things of that nature were like something I really keyed into, because at least from my experience, I'm used to vampires being very extreme, very like, well, it's obvious they're vampires, whether it's glittering skin or like extremely long fangs or something of that nature, you know? So that was really cool to like tap into. They're very low key, but still vampire. I love that. It wasn't over exaggerated. But also, like she was saying, it was really cool because on Spotify they have, of course, like the wood carvings that are shown in the middle or in the beginning of the film, but they also have the I guess they're kind of like newspaper clippings that actually show that you know, they were doing bad when it came to the Italians and Irishes in Chicago, and they, you know, they had their fun. And this was based in 1933, if I'm not mistaken, early 1930s. So yeah, it kind of just built on this whole cinematic, like, here we go, this is what's going on. I would love to see also, by the way, a like a prequel. I don't need to see a Sinners too, but I would love to see what's going on with everybody else before we got to here. But yeah, I mean, from the song they were singing to get in to like, it was it all matched. It all was very, very cool to the point. Also, I won't say it was like he was baptizing Preacher Boy, but it kind of got to that.
He kind of was.
Not to be offensive, but it got to that point where he was also reciting scripture, and it just, this is what I'm talking about. This is where I'm like, yeah, we actually need to go here. We need to push these buttons. This is what's needed in order to open everybody's minds, open everybody's visual, their perspective, their point of view. It's super cool. But yeah, them, of course, going with the original, do you eat garlic or do you not? And can I come in or can I not? Was what I needed in order for it to be a vampire film, per se. So the fact that they abide to those rules in our supernatural, whatever you want to call it, was very, very exciting. And then for them to not also look like your original vampire, and, you know, I liked it. I that's all I have. Yeah, it was very, very cool. I really appreciated it. It definitely played into don't invite everybody to the cookout.
Exactly. Exactly. And I love how they all kind of stood at the door while they was trying to get in. They was just kind of like standing there, look at them like, why are y'all here? Why do you want to come in here so bad? And
What
it resonates like now. It's like we never get our own spaces. Like they always want to infiltrate and they be so mad. And then they be trying to use reverse racism like, why can't we? Or how would you feel if y'all shut us out our whole we're shut out of all of y'all spaces, but we get a little piece of something you want to they already said they have their own little clubs and bars and pubs and things like that. Y'all could have went to any one of those, but you showed up here and you want to come into our space.
and you want a piece of the pie. No, get out. Sorry.
Completely. Mark, how did you feel about the vampires and their design?
I felt that they were, they didn't, because I know a lot of people when the first trailer hit, when the first teaser hit, they were like, I didn't see no vampires. I need to know what the vampires look like. I'm like, man, fuck all of that. This is a movie that, I was like, you gotta have something. You gotta hold back something. You don't have to have everything up front. You need to come into the theater and just see for yourself what these vampires are giving. And so when they did release the official trailer, I kind of felt some type of way because I'm like, okay, you're giving out too much. But they still look scary because I know one person gave a half a star. No, they gave a 4.5 star review and they said they didn't like the vampire design. That's why they gave it a half a star. I'm like, we had to argue for a minute on that because the vampires did what they had to do. Mm-hmm. They fucked shit up. They got the plot moving. They didn't have to do all this extra stuff, like kind of like in like, let's say for Evil Dead Rise. I don't know if y'all seen it yet. All that extra shit at the end of that movie, they didn't have to, like the vampires came and did what they had to do, which was fuck shit up. And there was a great metaphor for so many damn things.
Correct.
I personally feel that the shot when we first meet Remick, it reminds me of the story of, Lucifer himself. He's a fallen angel. He literally fell into the ground burning. And that's how we, it's kind of like, it was such a great allegory to the devil and him enticing people with coins and I can do this for you. I can do this for you and everything. And then them showing up at the juke joint, everybody at the screen just started like, not screen, everybody at the theater just started laughing when they did it in step, they started doing all this. Everybody like, oh hell no, no. It was just so fucking weird, just on a regular white folks offbeat, and just on a regular white people scale, it was just super weird. So they gave off weird ass vibes to begin with, but at the end of the day, like everybody said in the panel, we was mad. I say we because I'm in that juke joint too. We all four of us in the juke joint. Everybody in the chat is in the juke joint.
I'm in the back.
Like, why are they trying to come up in here? And they tried everything under the sun.
They said we're gonna walk slow just
in case y'all change our mind. No, we're not gonna change our mind at all. No, just keep on walking. As a matter of fact, if y'all can run back to the juke joint, back to the white establishments in town, do that. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't need y'all to hear. We got enough music in here going right now that everybody's vibing to. Can you imagine if they had came in? Let's just say they weren't vampires at all. Can you imagine if they came in and started playing and everybody would just fucking left? Exactly. Now the smokestack boys were already worried about their money intake. They'd have lost so much goddamn money right there. You're like, y'all invited these motherfuckers in? Like, we got to see the motherfuckers at the goddamn at the cotton field. We got to see them in town. We don't want to see any of these mofos. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so, but the turn rate, like somebody mentioned, I don't know if it was Unico, if it's Uquan, the turn rate was super quick.
Yes.
And that made me get to thinking, because most of the patrons of the bar got there before, Remick and his crew showed up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how many people walked there and probably got turned on the way? You know what I'm saying? Because if they'd have got turned on the way, they could have easily got up in there and of course Cornbread's not gonna blink an eye, you know what I'm saying, because they're black. He could have possibly let them in and then shit could have been left in. So but I'm thinking that by this time, like everybody was probably in bed already and they had the crowd they needed. But can you imagine somebody was just like at 2 o'clock in the morning, like, I'm gonna go to the juke joint. Man. Yeah, the pick, pour, robbing, clean. That was just creepy as hell in itself.
You choose this song to audition? This your audition song?
It was just a creepy ass song. Like, yeah, we want to sit there and listen to somebody get picked clean. Like, yeah. No, but they did what they had to do. And the one thing I want to ask y'all is, did y'all notice that Remick was the only one with the red eyes and everybody else had silver? See, this shit like that I wanted to know more about. Like, why you get the red eyes and everybody else gets silver? Like, what's behind it?
I think that he was the leader.
He was the what?
The leader.
But okay, yeah, but it's like, I don't know. I'll bring it back up in a minute.
I think.
Well, I was wondering if it has something to do with like him losing more of his humanity, like him going after people for more nefarious. Because when we see Stack at the end, his eyes are like blue,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought blue could also represent, of course, smoke, and him kind of like internalizing his brother, but also, you know, we don't know what's been going on with him and Mary in the years since. But I was thinking maybe, especially with them being able to just kind of mosey on up to Sammy and not threaten him, just say, hey, here's the offer on the table if you want it. It was like them holding on a little bit more to their humanity. Maybe they had managed to find a way to retain more of themselves. And I think it has to do with Annie. I think whatever Annie worked, the route she worked on Smoke would have also worked on Stack because they share the same bloodline. So I'm wondering if that grounded him a little bit more, tethered him a little bit more.
I also want to. Well, no, that's a great theory, because I also want to throw in the disconnect when with the guitar, if you get what I'm trying to say without saying it. I feel like the guitar disconnected everybody, but I say that for later on.
That's good, because we definitely gonna talk about that part. It turns into a survive the night movie, which I freaking love, and I forgot to put one on here, which is The Lost Boys, because this movie added. Once we got to that phase, I'm like, all the movies hit me. From Dusk Till Dawn hit me, Salem's Lot hit me, with the, you know, everybody and stuff turning, and then, you know, The Faculty hit me, the scene where they all took turns taking the garlic, like when Zeke made everybody do a little, you know, do a little bump. And then I thought about The Lost Boys, when it was just like they were going through all the rules of being a vampire. Nicole, I'm gonna start with you. What other survive the night movies did this put you in the mind of that you feel like we got some lore from?
So actually, I have to bring this up, and everybody, if you're not feeling it, please tell me. And these, I don't know what would make them survive the night per se, but I saw two different types of influences, not knowing if they were on purpose or not. The Shining is not survive the night. It's not necessarily. But I did see that influence when it came to Stax coming back to life after being bit. That angle from up from below when he's like at the door and he's like, you know, like really trying to get out. That was definitely, I saw something there. And then obviously John Carpenter's The Thing, when they were eating the garlic in a circle, it just kind of gave me like the blood test vibe from The Thing, as to like, who is it pointing like the whole, who it's you. So like I said, I'm not too sure if that's necessarily survived the night, but those were the two that definitely clicked for me when I was watching it. I was like, yeah, I see the influence, even if it wasn't on purpose. So
Demon Night is a good one, and I know that one's definitely a survive the night movie to see who can make it till the morning, and let's throw all of our survival skills because everybody ain't gonna make it. Definitely.
Thank you.
Quana, what other lore did you see during this part of the film?
Sorry. Well, I thought, first of all, this image has been going viral, right? And if you look at this image, and if we were looking at the full part of the image, I think really what is key is the three in the center, because everyone else ends up losing their life. But the three in the center get to kind of keep their humanity in some way, shape, or form. And that's really, I thought that was really important. There was kind of like a little foreshadowing moment that Ryan threw in there. And and yeah, I mean, it's the worst kind of survive the night, though, because unfortunately, with Grace going ahead and letting them in, they really did not get an opportunity to strategize anything else. They didn't get a chance to think about, could they have gone up to the rafters and attacked down from below to start with? Like, they really didn't have a chance to really figure out, okay, how can we stall them? We know that they're really after Sammy. They done already said that, bring Sammy out. That's who they were after. And so it was really disheartening that they didn't get a chance to really use Annie's gifts. Obviously Annie saw, she read herself 3 times before this moment, and she kind of knew what was happening, which is why she tells Smoke to do what he needs to do to make sure she can go back to be with her baby. But yeah, I just think these are some of the, of course, the more obvious ones. I love that Puss in Boots was an influence for him. It doesn't connect to this moment so much to Survive the Night, but so I guess I'll bring it up later. But I did see an influence with like the color purple in the film, just in general. But yeah, The Faculty was for a long time like one of my favorite horror movies, and so I think it speaks to the generation that Ryan is a part of, that he drew from these influences.
And speaking of Annie, I want to point out, did y'all notice that the vampires got mad when Smoke killed her? Because think about it, Annie also had a gift of doing root work. And just as much as they wanted Sammy, they knew she was gifted too, and they wanted her to turn as well. So they were kind of like pissed that Smoke took her, and while she was still in her human form, before she could cross over to the other side. And that's the thing, she knew that. She knew she had a gift. She knew they would want that. And that's why she said, I need to keep my humanity and to keep my ability to have that line to my ancestors. Because if she would have turned, she would have lost that line to her ancestors. She wouldn't have been able to cross over to be with her baby. And that's another reason why the vampires wanted Sammy's gift, because they wanted a line to their ancestors as well. Ryan, this is brilliant. Mark, what other monster lore did you see in this part of the movie?
Well, everybody's named most of them. I know Demon Knight was the one that I get when I say siege movies. Those are movies like where you try to make sure you just like Night of the Living Dead, replace zombies with vampires, because you're trying to keep you're trying to maintain order and make sure they don't get in. Then you got what's the name of the movie that John Carpenter did? Assault on Precinct 13. And then all those movies that are like siege movies, they don't have to include vampires. It's just the fact that you just have to survive the night and make it out to dawn. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, I don't know if y'all been aware of the discourse going on in the horror community that was started, I want to say late Sunday evening, by somebody trying to say that Ryan stole from Dusk to Dawn. Y'all heard it?
I heard it, but the thing is, Ryan Coogler gave his flowers to.
He gave his flowers, yeah, exactly. But it's
people
just
want to have the rage bait.
And my issue, because I always tell, because I know somebody came to me because they saw it early, they saw Sinners earlier, than everybody, and they was like, it's pretty much like a Black from Dusk to Dawn. And I knew then, even not having seen one frame of the movie outside of trailers myself, that was a very cheap way of promoting this movie, because it is,
It's so
even
much
though
more.
it's so
So
much
much more.
more, and for you to like cheapen it like that, it's very disrespectful. But it still has elements of that, because it's from Dusk to Dawn. It's still a siege movie. You know, you got to make it to dawn. Other than that, I can't think of anything else.
Lovecraft. I mean, there was, I think, a lot
Oh
of Lovecraft
yeah,
influence. You
oh
Mm-hmm.
know,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that that was not why they tapped certain people. You know.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
This
Lovecraft in itself was that's a masterpiece in itself.
yeah, this was definitely like for those who was like one of their second season of Lovecraft Country and
Mhm.
whatnot, because Ryan could have said this in 1970s, 80s, anything like that, but he purposely said it back then to get that feel of that danger
Mhm.
of twice over when you think about it. But also, I just wanted to bring up a point about Annie and the reason why everybody was pissed off that she died. Smoke knew what he was doing. Not Smoke, excuse me. Stack knew what he was doing. Stack said, if I get Annie turned,
Mhm.
Smoke gonna have to come over.
Hmm.
He knew that.
Clock it.
You're right.
Clock
And
it.
that's why Annie was like,
Clock it.
oh God, not you. You know what I'm saying? Because and when that's why Mary was like, oh, we finna get this family together. And then when Smoke sat there and said, nope, cloak, it was like, okay, all their plans are ruined now.
Mhm.
There's no point, because Stack sat there and told Smoke, I'm not doing this shit without you.
Mhm.
I can't function without you, and you can't function without me. So he knew, because that's your other half, and that was some very fucked up mind games on Stack's part. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So, but that tore me apart, because she had to sit there and see the man who shared the face of the man that she loved be the one to take her out. And she already knew that she wasn't going to make it either way. When she was sitting there doing those throwing that stuff on the table, she kept like, damn, like she kept doing it again, again, again. And she already knew that she wasn't going to probably make it tonight, which
Yeah.
which also upset me. But I'm sorry.
And then dawn comes. Um, and we only have Smoke and Sammy left. Sammy pulled out his old guitar, which saved him. That guitar his dad tried to tell him to get rid of was the thing that saved him at the end. Because Remick was dead set on, you're gonna be one of us and we're gonna get your gift. And thank God Smoke made it and staked him right on time. I loved seeing all the vampires burn in the sunlight. That did so much for me as a horror person. I love to see it. And y'all, my favorite scene in this movie, I know most of y'all love the music scene, but my favorite scene in this movie was when Smoke sat there and waited for them to come. When he told Sammy to go home, he said, "Go home. I got some business to take care of." And I was like, "What business?" And I forgot that Remick told him that the clan was coming for them. He did not forget. And he had something for their asses when they pulled up on him. And when I tell you he got every last one of them by himself, my boy came about the woods in a tank top and went to work on all of them. I'm sorry, that was my favorite scene in the movie. My favorite scene. Nicole, tell me about how did you feel about how the movie ended?
I'm sorry. In the tank top is like period. Yes, it was phenomenal. I like seeing, well, actually we're just gonna go with how it ends, not post credit scene. But how it ends is amazing. I like seeing him, take off his protection and actually getting hit, and it all just kind of lining up perfectly to how it's going to end. I like also and this is rare for me because I am a horror buff. I don't like happy endings, but how Smoke ended, beautiful. I mean, I had a happy, not a happy feeling, but I had a great feeling like, oh, I'm sad he's dead, but at least he's, better off type feeling. Um, yeah, I will agree though, or I will stick with I'm not a fan of happy endings. Sorry. I like really brutal, drawn out endings, but exactly. When it comes to how Smoke went ahead and kind of let himself go and pass, and then your boy walked in, connecting the beginning scene to the end scene was phenomenal. I don't think a lot of people, at least from where I was watching the film, didn't recognize that the fact that the opening scene was only the day prior to, like, all of that happened in one
Yes.
24 hours. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, that was a couple weeks. I'm like, no, this was not even a couple of days. Like, this was literally 24 hours. It literally starts in the church and ends in the church. So that was beautiful. I love seeing that full circle moment. But no, I'm not a fan of the happy ending. I will be very honest when it comes to that. Sorry.
I mean, was it too happy because Smoke did die? I mean, it was like it's happy because he met up with his family in the ancestral plane, but he still didn't make it,
He still didn't live, right? So I mean, I could just, but yeah, I'd rather the more dreadful the better. But yes, I thought it was awesome. I did. Sorry.
Mark, how did you feel about the end before the end credits kicked in? How did you feel about the end?
I can respect that, Nicole, because I have a friend that I'm talking to that I am. We argue about that all the time. He always tells me, like, why the fuck do you like the happy endings for horror movies? I said, I don't like happy endings all the time. I'm not saying that every horror movie has to have a happy ending.
Okay.
It's just that sometimes when I fall in love with certain characters in the horror film and there's something and they go through this hellish night and then they get knocked out. Like, for instance, Night of the Living Dead, not a happy ending, but it was needed. I mean, it was like, it kind of was like this, linchpin, like no matter what,
I agree on that one. Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
for this movie though, I'm not gonna lie, after seeing the trailer, I only saw the trailer, the teaser and the official trailer. When this movie opened up with Sammy pulling up to the damn church and it was just him, I was like, oh my God, all of them died and he was the only one who got out. Because I was like, oh shit, because and then he kind of flashed back to everything. But then you see Smoke sit there and save Sammy. I was like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, they made it. So I'm like, so what's gonna happen to Smoke? And then he does, because they kept reiterating throughout the entire movie that Smoke is a soldier. Now both of them are soldiers, but he kept telling everybody, I'm a soldier. You know what I'm saying? And even the part when after the Remnick and they told him to go away, they mentioned that damn the trunk.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh shit, we forgot the trunk. It's in the car. And I was like, if they had that damn thing inside the fucking bar when they came in, they probably had a better chance, but not really. But
gave him a little time. Give me like 30-second head start.
Yeah, but I like the fact that how everything went down. Delta Slim sacrificed himself for Sammy. We did not talk about my girl Pearline not once this entire damn thing. Not once.
I meant to talk about it when we talked about Sammy
Pearline
in the beginning. But yeah, let's take a second for Pearline. Because see, this is not a movie called Sinners. Because where your husband at, girl? This is why you ain't make it to the daylight. You out here messing with this young boy, and look what happened to you.
Y'all, I'm not trying to be just extra here, but I'm gay as hell. But when I saw Pearline,
I love it.
I was like, oh my, I said, yeah, he needs to hook up with her, like immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. I fell in love with Jamie Lawson from that point on. You know what I'm saying? And then after the Button situation, got up there in that stage with a whole new soul in her system. She sat there and tore that goddamn stage up.
They said she tapped into her personal Sasha Fierce.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then it's just like even though like this, she got a husband at home. It's just like the smallest things, and I'm gonna leave this alone. Like when the gunshots went out, they shot Smoke shot the fuck out of Mary. And they were like, yo, can we turn the music back on? She said, fuck the music. Where is Sammy? You know what I'm saying? She was like, no, where is my man there? What husband? What husband? What husband? Because she could have left and went home where everybody else got turned, but she still stayed there.
He wasn't a gracious man.
He wasn't gracious.
Hey, Kate, look, I said the same thing. I said, she at this damn train station, and I didn't get mad at her. You know, because her husband probably was no goddamn good. And she said, if he gonna be out there in these streets, so am I. She walked her happy ass all the way up to the damn jukebox. She knew Sammy's gonna be playing. And she stayed into the damn bitter end. And I like the fact that
she was outside getting her groove on to the Irish music, even afterwards. I think she's doing the most.
She sat there, she told Sammy to go. She said, Sammy, go. And that just let me know that even though she got big, she could easily be like, you motherfucker, you the reason. She was like, no, go. Leave me alone. Go. And I was like, damn. And he even named his
had her open.
He named his band after her. So it's just the fact that but the way it ended, I'm sorry, I had to get Pearline out of my soul because that's the one who I was riding for the hardest outside of Mary and everybody else. But oh my God, but yeah, the movie ended in a way that it surprised me because a lot of people I think forgot about the whole clan thing. So he took every last one of them out, and when he took the damn mojo bag off, I clutched my chest because I said he gone.
Yeah.
Because that mojo bag was the only reason Stack couldn't bite him throughout the entire fight. If you notice that the scene kept going, when he tried to bite him, I like that mojo bag working. It's working. And so when he sat there and pulled out that trunk and he was like, he pulled that damn thing off, I said, oh, fuck, he finna go. But he took all of them out and it took only one bullet to take him out. He didn't have to go out like boom, 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 boom. He just got one gunshot. And that's what took him out. And when he sat there and asked for the cigarette and then he started smoking, he failed. I'm like, shit.
But
and then they had
notice how he was shaking his hands trying to roll it because that's what Stack did. That was
Stack rolled it for him.
Yeah,
Stack was the one who rolled it for him. That's why he had to ask the clan man to give him the smokes.
Exactly.
And his brother won't be able to roll his cigarette no more. Wasn't no point in him staying if nobody can't roll no bud for him.
But did you notice that also after Stack died, he started getting the shakes, like he couldn't function. Like every time throughout the entire move up to that point, he was like, there was no
composed.
He wasn't shooken. He was composed. But when Stack died, I said, damn, that's some good acting right there, y'all. That is some damn good acting. And I was gonna leave with this. When Sammy took the guitar and hit Remick in the head with it. Now I told y'all earlier it was a connection. There was a disconnect from the main vampire and the rest of them. But also when he said the Lord, we started saying their little prayer, and it didn't help. But the guitar did. And then he goes to the church, and his fathers keep asking him, "Drop the guitar, Sammy. Drop the guitar." I don't mean no harm. This is why a lot of people are saying the movie was. There's been a lot of black folks and some folks saying that the movie was demonizing Christianity and stuff like that. With that, but I was like, no. I don't want to offend anybody by saying this. I feel like that guitar and the blues is what saved him.
It did. That was his gift.
That was his gift. So that's why he drove off into the sunset with the guitar. Especially after finding out the fact that that's a fucking family heirloom. When you think about it.
Right.
So,
definitely a good point to bring up. Juana, how did you feel about how the movie ended before the end credits?
I thought it was the best ending we could have if we weren't going to have with the narrative that we got, right? With the narrative, knowing like how with the characters who it was really important for us to see them have their autonomy and be able to decide what was going to happen to their spirit in the hereafter. I really liked that with Annie. You know, she was very adamant that her baby is not here. Her baby is gone. And so she don't want to be stuck here. So let me go with my baby. And he made the decision because he could have gone with his brother. He could have stayed with his brother. And he made the decision like, my brother will be all right. And he, if you think about the narrative, that Smoke had literally, he killed his father to protect his brother. So he had spent his whole life protecting his brother. Well, now his brother is a powerful vampire. He doesn't need his protection anymore. At that point, on one level, he's dead to him already. On the other hand, he's more powerful than he ever was.
Right.
So he wasn't necessary. So it's like he could lay down that burden and go be with his wife and his baby. So I thought that was beautiful. I am what you call it in a lot of horror movies. I don't need that. I needed that here just because of what that couple represented for me. We don't see couples like them so and often at all. It like no matter what genre it is. Like I've been lamenting that we don't have good love stories anymore. Like the ones that we go back to, if we start examining the ones from the 90s too hard, we could see how toxic they were and how negative they were. And so there was just nothing but beauty that we had between Smoke and Annie for the 2 hours we had them on the screen. So I loved that. I loved what, Sammy going back and what that means. And I don't want to say too much since we're not talking about the very end yet. I don't want to say what I think everything means all together. I like that
go ahead. Let's roll into it.
Well, I like really his Rambo moment. I like that he got to have his Rambo moment and take out the clan. But for me, what it really represented with the guitar, especially with us finding out that the guitar really did belong to Smoke and Stack's dad. And I think we can really examine the layers of it and really beyond just Sammy's father being a preacher and what blues versus Christianity implications might mean. He obviously knew that was his brother's guitar. And he also knew the kind of man that his brother was, that he was an evil man. When I think it was when Stack was asking Sammy about like how he was being treated, like he was investigating, making sure that his dad wasn't treating him like how their dad treated them. And he was like, no, he's like, he couldn't say that. He was like, he couldn't say that he was abusive in any way, right? And so he was checking to make sure his little cousin was okay. And he even mentioned, he said, yeah, he was always good to us. He kind of said that in there. And so I think there was a part of it that he knew that was his brother's guitar. He knew his brother was evil. I don't want my son to have no part of that. But at the end of the day, it is still a part of their legacy. And so often, especially in the Black community, we don't share our trauma within our family. Like even within our family, we don't talk about the things that happen. And so we never get free from the things that happen because we don't share it. So-and-so was touching so-and-so, and so-and-so went to jail for this, and so-and-so was small, and nobody ever talks about it. We just kind of pretend like it didn't happen. And so nobody gets free. So then this person didn't know, well, your daddy was an alcoholic. So now you might need to stay away from the alcohol, or you have this. So you might you don't know any of that. And he didn't know any of that until he finds out. I think that guitar represented so much. It was the last thing he got from his cousins who fought so hard to protect him. And in doing that, I throw a theory out there and say that their sacrifice maybe cleansed the guitar from any evilness that might have been on it. And so really what we got was a reclamation story. And so at the very end, with him singing This Little Light of Mine, and them choosing to throw that back at the very end when the whole story had been cyclical, even if that moment came before, it was Sammy in that moment. In that moment, he was putting a blues spin on a gospel tune. So it was him kind of merging both and saying, I and me can have both. I can claim all facets of myself. That's what I got from it. And I walked out, I was like, all right, yeah, this is what it's about. It's about you don't throw away any of your heritage. You synthesize it and figure out what it means for you.
Girl, I had to jump in and say you did that. You
Good.
broke
That was
that
really
down. Oh my God. I'm over here with in chills because oh my God. I hope you if you write a paper about that, let me know so I can sit there and
I
promote the
most
hell out of it.
definitely.
Shit. Oh my God.
that was deep. You know what? And it took me a minute. I had to sit with that very, very last after credit. For those of you who don't know, there are two after credits in this movie. Okay, there's two of them. The first after credit we see adult Sammy and Stack uh, and Mary. You know, we're in the like early '90s. I said, "Damn, Michael B. Jordan is fine in every generation," but and now I want me a little. I was just like, where can I get me a set of rings that say Stack on it? I don't have anywhere to wear them, but I'm gonna put them on. And they were coming because they sense that Sammy is coming to his last of his end of days, and it's just like, hey, if you want to come and be with us, let me know. But Sammy was just like, no, I'm good. Like I lived a full life. I think us seeing the scene at the very, very end where Sammy is singing This Little Light of Mine. And it took me a minute because that was the start of his day before the twins rolled in. He started the day off singing in the church, This Little Light of Mine. And if you pay attention, he looked over to the side and he looked up. I think that is when he realized that he could summon up his ancestors because he wasn't in there playing by himself. And I know that wasn't his dad that walked in. He looked up and he saw that and he knew that his music was special at that point. And I think that's why not just that his dad's warning hit him, but by the end of the movie, like it really really hit him like he knew that that was powerful. That's why when Stack came back to see him at the end, he had that guitar locked away because he knew how powerful it was in the end. Nicole?
That's actually very interesting because I'm going to be transparent. I did not pick up on that. I picked up on the post credit or the mid post credit scene, of course, but the after all the credits, that last scene where he's playing the guitar and singing, I did not catch his point of view of looking up and out or up and I didn't catch that at all. So I commend you because I honestly was like, oh, this is great. This is a way to simmer everybody's nerves and like this is a great ending scene. And yes, I did catch on to the fact that it was obviously before everything took place, but I did not catch his point of view directing up and off like you just explained it. So yeah, I now obviously I'm going in for the second, third, and fourth time. So I will I'll definitely take note of that. But no, I have to be transparent. That post credit scene, I did not catch his point of view reflecting or trailer.
Mhm.
I didn't catch that at all.
Like that was the very end of the movie was actually the beginning of the story.
Correct. Once you put
And
it like yes, ma'am.
that was the beginning. Mark, anything that you noticed at the end credits?
Oh wow, where do I even begin? Basically when you see that Sammy is buddy guy, you saw the scars on his face and stuff. You're like, okay, cool. He made it, and they showed 1992. It was almost a year to the day of the events of that happened 60 years prior. So seeing like because I thought actually it was gonna be not Stack or even Mary, because I'm on the assumption they all burnt up outside or something like that, or that smoke ended up eventually staking Stack. But I was expecting like maybe Bert and Joan showing up again or some shit, and maybe they're gonna try to the two white hench folks. I thought they were gonna show up and they're gonna probably set up like a sequel or something like that, or maybe a spin-off movie or something. But seeing Stack and Mary walk in, I was like, oh my God. And then he asked what everybody else was asking, how? And when they broke it down, it was like, oh. And I was like, well, how did Mary escape after? Why did she run away after Annie was killed? And she didn't stay with the rest of the group? You know what I'm saying? Like the rest of the group stayed there, but she ran off into the dark. So it kind of made me tear up again when he said, because the first night I saw it, when he said that, I thought that Sammy said that despite everything that happened, that day was the best day of his life. And I said, maybe he's saying it because that's the day he became a man. He became his own person. Then I went back and saw it again. He said, up until the sun went down, that was the best day of my life. And when I heard it the second time, and then when Stack agreed with him and explained why it was the best day, I cried. But hearing it's Quana, that pronunciation name, right? Quana. Hearing you break down the synergy between the blues and the gospel, and hearing what you said, Kai, about the end credit scene, I'm gonna throw some Lost on y'all. What if that was the moment that when he actually died, that's the moment he went back to? And then who he's looking up was like probably like his ancestors or something like that, in heaven. Like he was actually in heaven.
I like that theory.
Yeah, because just hearing it, because I thought that was just, be honest with y'all, I just thought it was just Ryan showcasing some more of Miles' talent. But hearing y'all talk about that, now I'm sitting there thinking, what if that was when he actually died? Because they said he didn't have that much to go on, and by that being the best day of his life. And the reason why I say that is because in Lost, the TV
he went back to it.
Yeah, because a lot of people think that the final episode of Lost, this is not a spoiler for anybody, but they think that everybody died. But in actuality, everybody waited for everybody during their points. The points that they died throughout the show and post the show, they all came back to the same point and they crossed over together. And I feel like that's what happened with him. Like he went back to the point that the best moment in his life, and let that be his way to walk into the gates of heaven.
I like that.
Everybody else, yeah.
I like that.
Okay. I got a question for Quana before we get into the last thing, which is our overall rating. Did you hear about Robert Johnson and how Ryan Coogler was inspired by that? And how does that make you feel about Sammy in the end? Because what one could say is that morning he made a deal. What if it wasn't his ancestors that he conjured up? Because think about it, he also conjured them damn vampires up. What if that was his version of when he played that song and he looked over? What if that was the moment he made that deal that set the pace?
So I think that the Robert Johnson lore holds for what we're supposed to believe, like why he was so evil. I think at the bare minimum, if that were a moment where he has his uncle's guitar, he's playing it and singing it, and the devil comes to him and he turns it down, and so God blesses his gift, because I think what we would see is very clearly the lore behind their father was, he was this evil, abusive man, and perhaps that was what the deal with the devil drew out of him. So I think at the bare minimum, it would still be Sammy choosing the side of right, because he didn't become that. And I forgot to mention, I forgot to circle back to The Color Purple. I did put it in the comments that I just can't help but notice the connection to The Color Purple in the part where Suge at the end is singing in the juke joint right before she hears down at her daddy's church them singing God is trying to tell you something, and she takes the whole congregation down and says, see daddy, sinners have soul too, and they embrace.
Yes,
I think that this was kind of that moment, and just the idea of sinners, that I think that might, I don't know that was the definitive inspiration, but as soon as I saw that scene, that is what came to my mind was, see daddy, sinners got soul too. And I think that's the thesis. I mean, if nothing else, even if that wasn't meant to be definitively the inspiration, I think that is the thesis of this at the end of the day, is that they were all sinners, but sinners have soul, and they have to decide what's going to happen with them. Where are they rooted in? And it has to be a decision every person makes individually.
Yes, I definitely agree. And you brought up a good point, because not everybody makes that connection with this movie and The Color Purple, but the juke joint and the singing and the period piece. I got all of that from it. Before we get up out of here, y'all, our final rating based on, and I want everyone down in the comment section, y'all let us know what you got. So we're going to talk about, based on what you think about the direction, the cinematography, the score, soundtrack, the storyline, the acting, even the gore and the kill count, because as a horror person, I gotta track the kill count. And yes, I love it when everybody don't make it. Okay, I need to see a very small amount of people survive to the end. Drop down in the comment section, how many knives did y'all give that on a scale of 1 to 5? On a scale of 1 to 5, how many knives are we giving it? I'm gonna start with you, Quana. How many knives we got?
Oh, I'm giving it 5. I'm giving it 5. I'm giving it 5. I mean, because definitely direction, cinematography, outstanding. Female cinematographer, shout out to her. Score is stunning. Definitely think Ludwig is going to win another Oscar. Ryan should get his Oscar nomination. I'm gonna have some hands and some questions for the Academy if they don't do right by my guy. Acting, storyline was amazing. I mean, listen, people are going to be writing dissertations. You can't do that. Every movie is not art. This was art. I will be writing a paper when I get into school. My kids are going to hate to see me for the next week and a half. I'm going to be going in on them. So yeah, this was 5. And everybody died just about.
Yeah, that's what I need. I needed that part. I said that's what bring it home for me. I need to see the blood and the gore and the kill count. Mark, how many knives we got?
5. I mean, why? I mean, there's all 5. If I could give infinite knives, they would get all of that. Ryan Coogler, and I'm gonna say this because a lot of people might sit there, hold up now, and I don't care. Ryan Coogler is the griot of black cinema at the moment. Because he has dabbed into every genre, drama, biopic, science fiction, aka superhero slash Afrofuturism, and horror. And he's always made us look so great, and just he touches on so much stuff. And when it comes down to like the everybody kept asking me, and I said this in my episode today, how scary is it? Because a lot of people say, we know, especially dealing with like religious themes and stuff like that. People look at how much gory, if it's too gory, they equal it to be scary. I don't feel that way. To me, meeting all these wonderful casts and these wonderful people in the first 20 to 30 some odd minutes of the movie, and then realizing that something horrible is about to happen to them, that's the scary part for me. That's the fear. That's the scary part. And I feel like he did it so well. So 5 across the board.
Absolutely. Nicole, how many knives we got?
Yes, I'm giving all the knives all across the board. I will say cinematography, of course, the directing, but cinematography was beautiful. Like, it was just visually stunning. I don't have anything else to say when it comes to lighting and camera angles and work. Score, like I said, music was forever going to be a theme and forever what I'm going to push when it comes to that. It just resonates deep into me. Acting, from breakout stars to experienced actors, amazing. I will say, and you guys can all just, it's me, but the gore, it was great, but I needed more bodies. Sorry. But other than that, amazing. The gore alone, like, like I said, the special effects, all of the makeup, that was beautiful. I just wish I saw more dead bodies.
Nicole, there was like 20 dead Klansmen at the end, friend.
I mean,
She said that don't count. They didn't get taken out by the vampires. That don't count.
I need like a lot more bodies. But yes, I'm sorry. Everything else, whew, beautiful. I would not take away. I would not add anything to this film. Amazing, and that's
Exactly. This is a master class in absolute filmmaking. This is how you make a film. And I even understand why Ryan held off before he got to the horror part, simply because a lot of horror gets shut out of award shows.
Mm-hmm.
And if they even don't even consider the vampires, this is still a whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough to get his foot in the door at these award shows. So look. If is there nobody's name is on the nomination sheet, show me where the petition is at. Because I argued for this movie. This movie needs all the things in it, and that's why I have to go and see it again, because I'm like, I didn't fully take it in. This is one you have to see in a theater. You need to get the full experience of this movie and take a friend with you. Experience it together. Get your popcorn, get your warm reclining seats, and get comfortable. This is an experience. Before we get out of here, I want to say shout out to my panel. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to let you all go one by one and tell us what is going on your channel. Tell us what you got going on your podcast or your website or your blog. What's coming up for you that you want us to look out for? Let me see. Let's start with Kwana. Kwana, what do we need to look out with her real reviews?
Well, we have not this week. We're not going to be having our Wicked Wednesday or Throwback Thursday this week, but we'll be resuming next week. I think we're going to watch Crossroads next week as an homage to Robert Johnson. I think that would be a great way just to kind of like echo this movie. And aside from that, Handmaid's Tale, yes, I will be dropping episode 3 breakdown, episode 4 because I'm behind, and episode 5, which will be coming out in a few hours. So yeah.
Oh yes, definitely. Thank you, Kwana. Nicole, what's going on with It's Fear herself?
Hi. Yes. I'm honestly, we are just watching a lot of horror films and we're reviewing a lot. My site at this time is being, it's under renovation. So it's about to be live in just a couple of weeks. But yes, just watching a whole bunch of horror films. And I also am writing a horror film myself. It is a feature. I can't disclose too much, unfortunately. But yes, I keep a lookout. It's not a short. I'm used to doing shorts. We're not doing that anymore. It's going to be a feature. But yes, I'm here for the horror. I'm here for the fun, and I'm always here to support everyone else as well.
Thank you. And Mark, what we got going on at Midnight Social Distortion?
Well, I
and
dropped dropped 2 episodes about Sinners today. After doing this panel, I kind of wish I could go back and re-edit all of them because it's great to talk to people who spotted stuff and then make me realize stuff that I possibly missed. So thank you, Nicole and Kwana, for even just, enhancing my viewing experience. This is why, like Kai said, you need to go watch this movie with a friend. I went by myself both times, but I did 2 episodes. One is spoiler free for Sinners. The other one is a 2.5 hour long breakdown of the movie. Those both dropped this morning, so they're available now on Midnight Social Distortion and all all podcasting platforms. We're going to talk about Sinners this Wednesday on Scream Kings. I was just asked by a publication that's based in the UK to write a review for Sinners that's going to be due out this week. So I'm excited about that. And on top of all that, you can find me on, like all my socials and stuff, Marco Estes and all that good stuff. Except for Twitter, which is just the anti-critic, but Marco Estes on every other social thing, and Marco Estes MSD on Blue Sky. that's what I got going on right now. And I'm hoping to start like a countdown review of all the Final Destination movies leading up to Bloodlines in May.
Okay. Wonderful. Make sure you all, and I will put everybody's links in the bios after this video so that if you see this video, you'll be able to click on everybody's channel and things like that to subscribe, see where to find everyone. You can also find my written reviews on my Slice of Horror blog. You can find written reviews from me from Cinema Craze website. I'm also covering Handmaid's Tale, The Last of Us, and Godfather of Harlem. So be on the lookout through all of those weekly reviews. Again, thank the panel for being here and discussing this movie. Y'all go see it. Take a friend with you. I'm going back to see it again this weekend. It's just so much that I need to see again. I want this experience all over again. So if you all haven't seen it, please go see it. Go watch it again. Thank for everybody. We had almost 30 people watching us live this evening. So thanks everybody for showing up and being here. And you know what? I would play my usual outro, but you know, I'm gonna take y'all out with Michael B. Jordan in case y'all wouldn't hear earlier. Y'all see my usual outro like 3 days a week. We gonna end it off with Wishing My Boo Thing.
I put it all on her, I get it right back. She put it all on me, I couldn't fight that. She love when I put on it when it's time back. You know it's hard to get up out it, I get sidetracked. Shake something, left, right, control it. You know who to call if you're horny. Ride on it, green light me.